Making a criminal. A reality flick series. Starring very important people. Very important. Big shots. Making a criminal. A reality flick series. Millions of taxpayer dollars. Reality ahead.
Warning.
All roads eventually lead to reality, Boulevard. Detour in any direction, to the delusion all trolley.
Can't wait till you end up in prison. Can't wait till you end up in prison. Can't wait till you end up in prison.
State of Maryland versus Mark Stengel. Criminal case number 03-K-14-0997.
December the 19th, 2014. Dear Ms. Savage, I write you on behalf of my client, Mark Stengel. First, if I may address the issue of his criminal information, I do not believe, based on the discovery provided, that Mr. Stengel has committed any crime. While his actions may have been rude, I do not believe they rise to the level of the crime, and furthermore, it is my belief that his mailings are protected by the First Amendment. Although not on all fours, the case of Anthony Elanis, currently before the Supreme Court of the United States, discusses the very issue at the heart of Mr. Stengel's emails. Interestingly, the Stengel emails are rather benign compared to those in the Elanis case. Also, a reviewed discovery provided me shows no communication of any kind with Miss Siliski. Next, let me address the complainant, Miss Siliski. Frankly, it is most difficult to find a starting point, but I will begin with the comments of Judge Enza on September the 18th, 2013, during the course of one of the many hearings involving the Stengels. Judge Enza: yeah, because Mr. Udo, I already know that Mrs. Stengel hasn't always been honest. I know that she lied to the police officer because she had Mr. Stengel's phone when she said she didn't. So I know that, and it didn't escape my notice that there were several discrepancies in the financial statements.
Note, actual court transcript and audio.
Mr. Rudo, I heard you know that Ms. Stengel hasn't always been honest. I know that. I know she lied to the police officer because she had Mr. Stengel's phone when she said she didn't. So I know that. And I didn't escape my notice that there were several discrepancies in the financial statements. In fact, in that hearing we had, that lasted several days, it was like every day. I would get a before lunch and after lunch amendment. So,
in short, we have Miss Siliski lying to the court and to the police, not to mention that beyond her perjurious statements, she is also guilty of false swearing in the obtention of her orders for domestic violence as well as in her financial affidavit filed with the Circuit Court for Baltimore County. In addition, there are numerous other incidences of Ms. Siliski's untruthfulness. In no particular order, I will list what I believe to be a sampling of the most egregious incidents involving Ms. Siliski. Although Ms. Siliski seems quite adept at lying and bringing false claims against Mr. Stengel, it is quite obvious that she is impervious to herself being charged for her numerous criminal acts. 1. False financial affidavit. Attached as Exhibit Number 1 is a Circuit Court financial statement pursuant to Maryland Rule 9-203A, under the heading Income Statement. Ms. Siliski states that she has a total monthly income of $0. The financial statement is sworn to under the penalties of perjury and signed by Ms. Siliski. Simply put, she lied, as acknowledged by Judge Enza.
December 22, 2010. Entry of appearance: Bradford G. Y. Carney and Royston, Mueller, McLean, and Reed, LLP. Financial statement of
Susan Siliski Stengel. Creation date: December 20, 2010. Date filed: December 22, 2010, at 3:39 p.m.
Income statement:
Gross monthly income: $0. 0 cents. Net income from wages: $0. 0 cents. Total monthly income: $0. 0 cents. Bank accounts: savings: $0. 0 cents. Personal property. $0. 0 cents. Total income. $0. 0 cents. I solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury, that the contents of the foregoing financial statement, monthly expense list, and assets and liabilities statement, are true, to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. Signed date: December 15, 2010.
Miss Silisky continued in her false swearing as evidenced by her attorney's filing on March 21, 2011, of a motion for interim attorney's fees and suit money, Exhibit Number 2. Paragraph numbered 6 of that motion states that Miss Silisky is not immediately employable, has no income, and is financially dependent on her husband. Additionally, the same false financial statement, Exhibit 1, is attached to that motion.
Motion for interim attorney's fees and suit money. 6. Defendant has
not worked outside the marital home for a number of years, on anything other than a part-time basis, and is not immediately employable.
She currently has
no income and is financially dependent on plaintiff.
Her financial statement is attached hereto, and incorporated herein, as Exhibit 1. I hereby certify that on this 21st day of March, 2011, a copy of the foregoing motion for interim attorneys and suit money, was hand-delivered. Signed. Bradford G. Y. Carney, Royston Mueller, McLean, and Reed, LLP. Her financial statement is attached hereto, and incorporated herein, as Exhibit 1.
In fact, not only was Miss Silisky employed and making substantial income, she was, during the year 2010 and into the first part of 2011, receiving over $20,000 of unemployment compensation, which is reflected in her 2010 federal tax return, Exhibit Number 3.
The United States Individual Income Tax Return. 2010. Number 19. Unemployment compensation. $20,420.
Your occupation.
Self-employed.
The amount of unemployment is but a part of her 2010 gross income. She also owned and operated 2 businesses, A&M Marketing and Creative Memories, which grossed over $26,000 in 2010, as well as a rental property, 605 Dover Road, Anne Arundel County, Maryland, with a monthly income of $1,475, and finally, a side business, Oliver French Tour, from which she profited over $13,000. As you can see, and as will be discussed in item number 2, none of the income listed herein was reflected on her 2010 federal tax return, which she swore to under the penalties of perjury.
The United States Individual Income Tax Return. 2010. Number 6C. Dependents. Both children. Alexander and Maya Stengel. Number 7. Wages, salaries, tips, etc. $2,689. Number 22. This is your total income. $25,350.
2. Filing false tax return. Ms. Silisky's federal filing for the year 2010, Exhibit Number 3, does not include her earned income, which is calculated from several sources, to include the following: A&M Marketing, $26,006.57. Creative Memories, $3,071.64. Oliver, $13,849.20. Bank deposits, $63,389.54. Bank deposits 2011, $58,183.76. January to May. The above numbers, which can be proved from Ms. Stengel's own records, demonstrate, to a mathematical certainty, that she violated both State Maryland Code, Tax Section 13-1101 et sec, and Federal Laws 26 U.S.C.S. 7204, et sec. 3. Unemployment insurance fraud. During 2010, Ms. Silisky received in excess of $20,000 unemployment compensation while gainfully employed. The combination of the unemployment fraud and false 2010 income tax return establishes both state and federal crimes committed by Ms. Silisky regarding the acceptance of unemployment compensation payment while gainfully employed. See Maryland Code, Labor and Employment, Section 9-1106. 4. Cell phone theft. On or about November 27, 2010, Ms. Silisky stole Mr. Stengel's cell phone. She gave it to her then lawyer, Ms. Rosenberg, reference number 1, for the purpose of reviewing Mr. Stengel's private information. When Mr. Stengel determined that Ms. Silisky had stolen his phone, he confronted Ms. Silisky, who denied taking it. Thereafter, Mr. Stengel contacted the Baltimore County Police to report the theft of his property. On November 27, 2010, at approximately 6:25 p.m. Officer Bell contacted Ms. Silisky by phone, only to find that Ms. Silisky categorically denied taking her husband's cell phone. Attached is a transcript of Ms. Silisky's conversation with Officer Bell, Exhibit number 4. Refer to Exhibit number 5, Audio/Visual Disc, Letter A.
So you have to tell me that first. Yes.
What the heck is that? Yes.
Well, I'm actually in the office, so I don't have a thing.
You don't have a thing?
Well, I don't have a hand.
Well, I'm going to go over to John Seville's for a little while. They're having pizza and a couple people over, so I'm just going to go chill rather than sit under the microscope and scrutiny of you.
All right. Where's my phone?
It's in the kitchen. All I did was pick it up to answer it, Mark. It's in the kitchen or in the laundry room. I didn't walk far with it, for God's sake.
No?
Where's my phone?
All right. Well, you have to come home.
I don't have to do anything I don't want to. I'm going to go to John's for a little while. I'll be home later. What's the big deal?
No.
Can you go check the kitchen?
What do I have to come home for? Are you the dictator now?
No.
The guy who videotapes me, records me, films me, is trying to make me out to be a crazy woman, and now I have to come home because why?
Miss Stengel? Miss Stengel? This is Officer Bell.
I can't even hear you, but I'm going to
Hold on.
right now.
Hold on. Listen.
Ma'am? This is Officer Bell with Baltimore County Police Department. Your husband actually went to the kitchen and tried to find the phone, and he's saying it's not there. Where exactly in the kitchen did you put the phone?
I don't remember, ma'am. I was on the phone with my friend, and when his phone rang, and I went to pick it up, and I went to open it, and he changed his password, so I couldn't do it, so I must have put it down. His phone hasn't been stolen, if that's what he thinks. Is that what he's thinking?
Yes, ma'am. So we need to know where the phone is.
Okay, ma'am. I don't know where the phone is at this very moment, but I'm not a thief, and I didn't take his phone. So when I get home, I will hand him his phone. I'm sure I will find it. Okay, he lost his phone the other day, and his son found it. His camera's all over the house. Maybe his camera can locate it for him. I don't know. But I don't have it.
You don't have it.
Excuse me?
You sure you don't have it?
I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Okay? I'm positive I don't have it. I mean, I'm not sure why my husband is now calling the police every time something happens in our house.
Because apparently you guys were involved in a domestic dispute, and he called the police to try to settle it. And you decided to leave the home.
We're in a domestic dispute.
Reference 1. To date, Mr. Stengel's cell phone has not been returned. A call placed to Miss Silisky's current lawyer, Mr. Brad Carney, Esquire, resulted in Miss Silisky saying she had no idea where the cell phone is presently. Thereafter, on November 29, 2012, before the Honorable Judith Cienza, Miss Silisky admits that she lied to Officer Bell and in fact did remove the cell phone from the residence. It seems fairly clear that Miss Silisky will lie whenever necessary to suit her needs. 5. Scott Stengel's tape recorder. Exhibit number 6. A Baltimore County Police report. Attached as Exhibit number 6 is the report of Officer R.D. Miller, Baltimore County Police Department. Nothing could be more disgusting than a mother using her child to commit a crime, to advance the mother's self-interests, and at the same time, causing a permanent emotional trauma aimed at her own daughter. Not only is Maya, the daughter, emotionally scarred by her mother's actions, but Maya is called upon and cause to act out of fear of her own mother's threatened retaliation if she did not comply. Of course, the collateral damage of the mother's action is quite obvious, causing her daughter to choose one parent over the other. It is quite clear that the report of Maya to the police is truthful, and that Miss Stengle's explanation is a total fabrication. Again, we have evidence that Miss Sileski will lie at will, provided it advances her needs, even at the expense of her own daughter. The reason for Miss Stengle's actions are quite obvious. The recorder contained daily journal entries made by Alex that were most harmful to his mother. She needed to be sure that they never surfaced. She succeeded, and the recorder was never returned. It remains with one of her previous family law attorneys, but she still refuses to return it.
October 5, 2011. Time, 1810. Police report number, 11-278-1424. Officer R.D. Miller, number 5198. On the above date and time, I was dispatched to the above location, in reference to a theft. Upon arrival I was met by victim Stengel, who advised that he was told by his daughter, interviewee Maya Stengel, that
her mother, interviewee Susan Stengel, told her to steal her father's voice recorder.
Victim Stengel advised that he discovered it missing several days ago, and when he originally confronted interviewee Maya Stengel about it,
she lied, stating that she did not want him to be mad at her.
Victim Stengel asked interviewee Maya Stengel why she took the item, at which time he stated that she began crying, and stated to him that
she sees what happens to her brother Alex Stengel when he doesn't listen to interviewee Susan Stengel, and she does not want the same thing to happen to her.
Interviewee Maya Stengel was at the location at the time of reporting. I asked interviewee Maya Stengel in the presence of victim Stengel what happened with the voice recorder. She stated
that she was told to take it from the location by her mother.
She stated that
it is normally left on the kitchen counter, which is where she retrieved it from.
She stated that interviewee Susan Stengel
listened to the recordings, then forwarded the recorder to her lawyer.
This officer did not ask about any possible abuse or any other possible incidents that were mentioned by victim Stengel. I also spoke with interviewee Susan Stengel via telephone. Interviewee Susan Stengel advised that she
is in possession of the recorder.
She stated that
the daughter Maya Stengel took the recorder on her own and hid it in the home.
Interviewee Susan Stengel advised that
when she found it, she questioned Maya Stengel, who refused to comment.
She stated that
Maya Stengel told her that she took the item from her father because she did not like her father using it against interviewee Susan Stengel.
At that time she stated that
she listened to the device, then forwarded it to her lawyer.
Lieutenant Pasco, direct on current incident as well as past incidents.
6. Child abuse. Attached as collective exhibit number 7, is a letter with attachments that I have sent to Detective C.J. Rort of the Baltimore County Child Abuse Unit.
Today is August 18th. It's on Thursday. It is 12:40 exactly. And 2 days ago, something strange went on. Mom said I was starting to turn into like a loser with like Andrew Grover. She got all mad since I know what happens with her. And so then she said I was overweight. And then she said when we were at the grocery store, I said I had a tiny brain. And Mom says anyone that says someone else has a tiny brain has a tiny brain. It was really weird. And I thought there's a show called Take the Money and Run, and one of the moms called their daughter, and she said she was a sneaky bitch, which Mom said was not nice, and she's telling me that wasn't nice, yet she's not saying nice things about me. So that's pretty much it. Today is August 25th, I believe, or 26th. It is 10:06, and the last 2 days on Monday and Tuesday were weird. On Monday, was crazy. Tuesday especially was crazy. I got punished because I was talking to Dad, and she was just listening to the entire thing, and I didn't want her to. And so she she punished her, made me sit in front of the TV without watching the TV or doing anything, just sitting or laying there. I could choose. So she was laying for 45 minutes. Then she said for me to go to my bed, and I was in my bed for 15 more minutes, so that's an hour. And then she yanked my ear really hard, and I said, "Why'd you unplug the wires?" Which I didn't. And she pulled me over to the TV where the wires were, next to it where she probably pulled them. And then she hit me for doing it hard. And then that took 15 minutes. That's an hour and 15 minutes in total punishment. And she sent me to my room for 35 minutes. No, 30 minutes, 35. And then she stripped all my sheets and made me do it again, and made me make my bed again when I made it earlier in the morning. And she stripped everything and didn't even put new sheets on. She just pulled everything off and made me make my bed. And that took 15 minutes. So it was 2 hours of punishment. 2 hours of stupid punishment of my entire life. It was just stupid. So it was crazy. It's August 26th at 9 a.m. And if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad. Because I know he has proof, and my mom doesn't like it. Because what it doesn't make sense is, why would someone that could be lying want to show someone the videotapes of him lying when someone else says they're not lying, when he says he's not lying, and he wants to show the videotapes that he isn't, when the other person says he's not lying, they don't want to see the videotapes. They don't want anyone to see them. And the one that doesn't want to see them is mom, and the other one that wants to show them is dad. So I really don't get it. I don't know if it's my mom's fault or Nana's fault. I think it's mostly mom's fault, because it's just saying, who would you rather live with, a monster or the creator of the monster? The creator of the monster. In that case, it would be Nana. Because would you rather live with the creator of Frankenstein or Frankenstein? That's pretty much it.
Note, voice is not Alex's actual voice. However, the letter dated September the 29th, 2011, is Alex's actual letter. Alex asked his father to send his letter to his mother, Mr. Berg, Dr. Kelly, and Dr. Eisenberg, which was done.
Dear Mom, right now I cannot tell you this face to face. I know who you really are. You may not like it. Punish me all you want. It is just going to make it worse. I know that bruise was fake. And you lied to a cop, a judge, and everyone else. You stole money from Dad, Scott, and me. One problem, you only fooled one Stingle. If you think this is Dad talking, it's not. I can prove it. Next time I am with you, ask me any time during the night and I will tell you. I want to tell the judge about you. Ask me how I know. Also ask yourself, why did I do this? You can't fix your mistake now. I don't want to live with you anymore. I told Berg, Killeen, and Iceberg all about you. I want to live in my home and not your home. I am sorry I have been lying to you all this time and not to Dad. Your son, Alex.
October 4th, 2011. Police report number 11-277-1698. Date occurred Monday, October 3rd, 2011, and Tuesday, October 4th, 2011. Times, 19:30 hours, and 20:30 hours. Time reported. Tuesday, October 4th, 2011, at 20:55 hours. Victim, Alex Stengel. Victim school. Boys Latin, 822 Westlake Avenue. 21210. Continuation. 11-2. West Towson Elementary. 6914 North Charles Street. Towson, Maryland, 21204. On the above date, and I was dispatched to the above location in reference to a custody dispute. Upon arrival, I was met by interviewee Mark Stengel, who advised his ex-wife interviewee Susan Stengel, was refusing to allow the children victims, Alex Stengel and Maya Stengel, to contact him, based on their divorce agreement. He advised that the agreement states that he is allowed contact via telephone with the children daily, between the hours of 19:30 and 20:30. He stated that the past 2 days she refused him contact. He also mentioned possible child abuse to Alex Stengel reported to school administration. Unknown the results or the facts of that case. Unit 611 responded to 32 Overridge Court number 3032, and verified the well-being of both victims. He also advised, that interviewee Stengel advised, that when interviewee Mark Stengel called, she was vacuuming and did not hear the phone ring. Unit 611 advised that the children were alive and well, and both bathing for bed. Interviewee Susan Stengel advised, interviewee Mark Stengel can contact the kids, when they finished showering. CC number 11-277-1695. Interviewee Mark Stengel was advised of the findings, and advised that he would make an additional attempt to contact the children. Copy forwarded to DVC. Nothing further. October 5, 2011. Time, 1810. Police report number, 11-278-1424. Officer R.D. Miller, number 5198. On the above date and time, I was dispatched to the above location, in reference to a theft. Upon arrival I was met by victim Stengel, who advised that he was told by his daughter, interviewee Maya Stengel, that
her mother, interviewee Susan Stengel, told her to steal her father's voice recorder.
Victim Stengel advised that he discovered it missing several days ago, and when he originally confronted interviewee Maya Stengel about it,
she lied, stating that she did not want him to be mad at her.
Victim Stengel asked interviewee Maya Stengel why she took the item, at which time he stated that she began crying, and stated to him that
she sees what happens to her brother Alex Stengel, when he doesn't listen to interviewee Susan Stengel, and she does not want the same thing to happen to her.
Interviewee Maya Stengel was at the location at the time of reporting. I asked interviewee Maya Stengel in the presence of victim Stengel what happened with the voice recorder. She stated
that she was told to take it from the location, by her mother.
She stated that
it is normally left on the kitchen counter, which is where she retrieved it from.
She stated that interviewee Susan Stengel
listened to the recordings, then forwarded the recorder to her lawyer.
This officer did not ask about any possible abuse or any other possible incidents that were mentioned by victim Stengel. I also spoke with interviewee Susan Stengel via telephone. Interviewee Susan Stengel advised that she
is in possession of the recorder.
She stated that
the daughter Maya Stengel took the recorder on her own and hid it in the home.
Interviewee Susan Stengel advised that
when she found it, she questioned Maya Stengel, who refused to comment.
She stated that
Maya Stengel told her that she took the item from her father because she did not like her father using it against interviewee Susan Stengel.
At that time she stated that
she listened to the device, then forwarded it to her lawyer.
Lieutenant Pasco, direct on current incident as well as past incidents. Supervised Visitation Report. February 23, 2013, at 4:45 p.m. Alex asked if he could say something to me. I said, sure. He said I don't think my mother likes me at all. He said she hits me when I do something wrong. On the back of the head, in the chest, and in the stomach, and it hurts. I said that if I report this, worse things may happen. He said I don't care, report it. I asked him if his father ever hit him. He said no. David L. Levy.
If indeed the allegations are truthful, crimes have been committed and should be fully investigated. My concern regarding these children is that, while they must be interviewed, as should Dr. Levy, the interview of the children should be without the knowledge of, and outside of the presence of their mother. A fair reading of Alex's handwritten letter shows his concern, and the same is evident as to Maya, from Officer Miller's police report. Additionally, Miss Silisky Stengel is a confirmed, admitted liar and perjurer to the police, the court, her children, and even the government in her filing of fraudulent tax returns. She might do whatever is necessary to manipulate her children. 7. Sham phone call. On November the 22nd, 2010, at 7:06 p.m., Miss Silisky seemed to place a call and have conversation with Mr. Stengel's then ex-wife, Jody Rubin. The conversation lasted 2 minutes and 10 seconds, as evidenced by the cell phone records of Ms. Rubin, Exhibit number 8. A transcript of what turned out to be a one-sided conversation, and orchestrated by Miss Silisky, is attached, Exhibit number 8A. See Exhibit number 5, letter B, C, D, audio/video of Miss Sileski's one-sided conversation of November the 22nd, 2010. The voicemail message left on Jody Rubin's home phone on November the 22nd, 2010, and voicemail message left by Miss Sileski on Jody Rubin's home phone on November the 5th, 2011.
This argument. You have to solve this argument. Because Scott and Mark are saying they both had the same conversation with you, and you said that it was absolutely okay for Scott to come here for Thanksgiving, but you want him to have breakfast with you.
Exactly what she said.
Okay. And what did you say to me today about him being your only child and your parents being in Aruba?
Our parents are always in Aruba this time of
Yes,
year.
okay. And what did you say? What time is he supposed to be coming for Thanksgiving? Yeah, 3 o'clock. Leave me out, she says. 3 o'clock, he was supposed to be at her house. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, go by.
No.
That's unbelievable. Why do you do this? Why do you do this?
Why do I do what? I didn't do anything.
Why do you do?
She just said to you that. What did she just say to you?
Why do you do this?
What did she just say to you?
It's bizarre to me. I mean, I don't understand why you create these scenarios.
I didn't create anything. Do you understand that you do this? I don't.
I didn't create anything.
This started by my
You
son
started it by
saying.
getting an email at 2:30 in the morning and making a fait accompli. Without having a conversation with your wife. You said, this is what we're doing. Very draconian.
Honestly, would it have mattered?
Would it have mattered? Who would have known? Because you didn't do anything differently.
Would it have mattered?
Would it have mattered? Who would have known, Mark, because you wouldn't do anything differently. Okay?
52, 53, 54,
I have a hole in my back.
58,
What's gonna happen?
59. 10 minutes, show me 10 points.
This is the deal. Mark, Alex, Maya, you guys have Thanksgiving with Daddy. We are separating this year. I am going to New Jersey with my family. This will be the beginning. You guys will do Thanksgiving together, okay? I don't know what to tell you, Mark, but you're not having a conversation with me. You're having it with children. Scott, Alex, and Maya, who you've had a conversation with,
saying that.
not me.
I can't believe you said what you
I
said.
can't believe what? You have yet to have a conversation with me. Not even one time had a conversation with me. You've had one with Jody. You've had one with Scott. You've had one with Alex. You have never...
First, saved message, November 22nd, 7:03 p.m.
Okay for Scott to come here for Thanksgiving, but you want him to have breakfast with you. Okay. And what did you say to me today about him being your only child and your parents being in Aruba?
Parents are always in Aruba this time.
Yes, okay. And what did you say? What time is he supposed to be coming for Thanksgiving? Yes, 3 o'clock. Leave me out, she says. 3 o'clock, he was supposed to be at her house. Yes. Okay, goodbye.
To repeat.
First saved message. Jody, this is Susie, and I'm in the car with Alex and Maya, and you can keep this message and give it to your first husband. They're telling me that you and I never spoke on Thanksgiving Day 2010, and you and I never discussed that you did have every intention of having Scott Stengel, your son, have Thanksgiving with you. And they're saying that their father said I lied about our conversation, and that you said to me, leave me at. And they're saying that I lied that I ever had a conversation with you because you have on your answering machine a message that you said that was a virtual conversation. So, if you're really true and you care about my kids, you will call back and you will explain to them that in fact you and I had several conversations about Thanksgiving in 2010 so that we can put this to bed, since my children have been taught by their father that I lied to them. Thank you. 410-402-3860. End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. To hear more options, press 0. To replay this message, press 4. To get envelope information about this message, press 5. To send a copy to someone... Sent Saturday, November 5th at 10:53 a.m. Saved message from 41040238860. 1 minute, 14 seconds. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9.
The conversation in question was related to plans for the impending Thanksgiving holiday. Of course, such a conversation never occurred, but was designed by Miss Silisky to trick her children, who were present in the very room where the phone call originated, and enlist them as her allies. It seems clear that if Miss Silisky is capable of carrying on such a fabricated conversation to deceive her own children, in all likelihood, she will lie at will to meet her needs, regardless of the consequences. The actual voicemail message can be provided upon request. 8. Hacking into Mr. Stengel's computer. On November 30th, 2010, soon after Mr. Stengel was ordered to vacate the family home as a result of a protective order that was dismissed at trial, Miss Silisky brought a computer hacker to the Stengel home to make illegal, unauthorized entry into Mr. Stengel's computer. This was captured on surveillance audio/video of Mr. Stengel's office and is available upon request. The unidentified hacker is heard to say to Miss Silisky as follows: "Now you're not in trouble for getting into his account, are you? 'Cause I had to crack his password for you to do this."
Now you're not in trouble for getting into his account, are you? Because I had to crack his password for you to do this.
The act of hacking into Mr. Stengel's computer not only allowed Miss Silisky to review its contents, but also allowed her to continue to access and monitor Mr. Stengel's computer to include his emails. The viewing by Miss Silisky of Mr. Stengel's emails is reflected in the attached billings of her attorney, Exhibits number 9 and 10. Exhibit number 9, line number 2, dated July the 5th, 2011, reads: "Read email from Susie and Mark's latest BGE bill."
July 5th, 2011. BGC. Read email from Susie and Mark's latest BG&E bill.
By this date, Miss Stengel was absent from the home nearly 7 months. There will be no way, other than to intercept Mr. Stengel's emails, that she could be privy to such a billing that always remained solely in Mr. Stengel's name. Exhibit number 10 at the bottom of page 2 reflects a similar entry.
Page number 2. January 25th, 2012. BGC. Read email from Susie and Mark's BG&E bill, due December 22nd, 2011. $429.32.
9. The will of Gordon Silisky. Gordon Silisky, the father of Susie Silisky, died in early 2008. Miss Silisky, who was named personal representative of her father's will, opened an estate in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, with the Registry of Wills on February 5, 2008. The docket entries of the estate are attached. Exhibit number 11.
Anne Arundel County Register of Wills. Estate of Gordon Meyer Silisky. Estate number 66166. Date of death: January 23, 2008. Date of filing: February 19, 2008. Will status: probated. Date closed: November 18, 2010. Personal representatives: Susan Silisky Stengel.
February 5, 2008. 1. Reference number 1424. Copy of purported last will and testament. Dated April 17, 2007. Unprobated. February 11, 2008. 6. Reference number 1424. Purported last will and testament. Dated April 17, 2007. Original.
Definition of probate. 1a. The action or process of proving, before a competent judicial authority, that a document offered for official recognition and registration as the last will and testament of a deceased person is genuine. b. The judicial determination of the validity of a will.
There are several things worthy of note that occurred during the probate process. First, a copy of the purported will was filed on February the 5th, 2008. It is witnessed by only one person, Joe D. Marlowe. Thereafter, on February the 11th, 2008, the alleged original will, containing the signatures of Ms. Marlowe and Mr. Stengel, is filed. Exhibit number 12 and 13.
Noted as
February 5, 2008. 1. Reference number 1424. Copy of purported last will and testament. Dated April 17, 2007. Unprobated.
Copy has one witness. Noted as
February 11, 2008. 6. Reference number 1424. Purported last will and testament. Dated April 17, 2007. Original.
Original has two witnesses.
It is Mr. Stengel's contention that Ms. Marlowe was never in Mr. Gordon Sileski's presence at any time on April the 17th, 2007, the date of the execution of the will. Furthermore, it is believed that Ms. Marlowe never met Mr. Gordon Sileski, nor did she sign the original will prior to Mr. Sileski's death. Mr. Stengel contends that he was asked by his wife to sign what is purported to be the original will at home, out of the presence of Gordon Sileski and Joe D. Marlowe. It was necessary for Miss Sileski to file the original because the copy was invalid, without two witnesses. Continuing, when Mr. Stengel signed, there was no other signature of a witness on the will. Mr. Gordon Sileski's residence, 605 Dover Road, was listed as an inventory asset. However, 603 Dover Road, an unimproved lot, was never listed. Both properties were transferred to Susie Sileski, with the assistance of Joe D. Marlowe, an agent, for genuine title, an agency currently under criminal investigation, approximately a year prior to the closure of the estate, and prior to her brother's death. Exhibits number 14 and 15. Again, another violation of the criminal law.
Owner name Susan S. Stengel. Mailing address 605 Dover Road LLC. Premises address 605 Dover Road. Transfer information. Seller Gordon M. Sileski. Date June 30, 2009. Price $0, 0 cents. Owner name Susan S. Stengel. Mailing address 603 Dover Road LLC. Premises address 603 Dover Road. Transfer information. Seller Gordon M. Sileski. Date December 1, 2009. Price $0, 0 cents.
Reference number 2. The brother, Robert Gordon Sileski's objection to the will was filed November the 13th, 2009.
Anne Arundel County Registry of Wills. November the 13th, 2009. Number 21. Reference 1244. Letter from Robert G. Sileski. Son. Never notified as an heir. A.L.
Altered evidence. On November the 16th, 2011, at 9:25 a.m., Miss Sileski filed for a temporary protective order against Mark Stengel. Temporary order attached exhibit number 16. At page 3 of the application, Miss Sileski references two emails which she claims she has attached to the application.
Temporary protective order. November 16, 2011, at 9:25 a.m. Petitioner's signature.
November 15, 2011.
On November the 23rd, 2011, the final hearing was held before Judge Ryan. Miss Sileski introduced two emails, that were purported to be sent to her by Mr. Stengel, prior to her obtaining the temporary order. The upper right corner of the temporary order indicates it was granted on November 16, 2011, at 9:25 a.m. The email submitted to Judge Ryan is dated, but bears no time. Exhibit number 17.
From Mark Stengel. Date, Wednesday, November 16, 2011. Time. White it out. Subject, are you done yet? 2. Susie Sileski. Hello, how much more punishment do you plan on putting Alex and Maya through?
The actual original email sent to Susie Sileski by Mark Stengel is dated and timed at 2:48 p.m. Simply put, Miss Sileski could not have received this email prior to obtaining the temporary order. She deleted the time to fit her own needs. See exhibit number 18.
Are you done yet? From Mark Stengel. 2. Susie Sileski. Sent, Wednesday, November 16, 2011, at 2:48 p.m. Hello, how much more punishment do you plan on putting Alex and Maya through?
11. Illegal attempt to transfer property in Mark Stengel's name into joint names without Mr. Stengel's knowledge or consent. Mark Stengel is the listed owner of 4741 Old York Road, as evidenced by the records of the Department of Assessments and Taxation, since 2004. Exhibit number 19.
Owner name. Mark L. Stengel, premises address. 4741 Old York Road. Baltimore, 21212.
The exhibits attached clearly show conspiracy between Joe DiMello, then employed by Genuine Title, and Susie Sileski to accomplish this transfer without Mr. Stengel's knowledge or consent. These exhibits, numbered 20 through 23, are emails, one from Ms. Marlowe's company scanner at 1:56 a.m. to Susie Sileski.
From scanner@genuinetitleinc.com. Sent, Tuesday, August 31, 2010, 1:56 a.m. to Jody Marlowe.
File 2010-0831-01555158.pdf. On September 2, 2010, at 10:18 a.m., Jody Marlowe wrote. Note. Please include any pre-HUD when requesting title along with fully executed sales contract. From Susie Stengel. Sent, Thursday, September 2, 2010, at 10:26 a.m. to Jody Marlowe. Subject, regarding deed for York Road. Sorry it took so long, oops. It has to be, Mark L. Stengel creates new deed, under the new name of MS Global, LLC. Susie Sileski Stengel. President. A&M Marketing Services. Post Office Box, 223. Glendon, Maryland, 21071. On September 2, 2010, at 10:26 a.m., Jody Marlowe wrote. Then, you may have to pay transfer taxes, I will have to check with the city. I will let you know. From Susie Stengel. Subject, regarding deed for York Road. Sorry it took so long. Sent, September 2, 2010, at 10:27 a.m. to Jody Marlowe. Okay. Thanks. Susie Sileski Stengel. President. A&M Marketing Services. Post Office Box, 223. Glendon, Maryland, 21071.
Additionally, exhibit number 24 is a proposed deed prepared by Ms. Marlowe.
Genuine Title Corporation.
The purpose of this deed is to add wife to title. This deed of assignment made this day of 2010 by and between Mark L. Stengel, grantor, and Mark L. Stengel, and Susan Sileski Stengel, grantee. That in consideration of the sum of no dollars, 0 cents. Exhibit A. 4741 Old York Road, Baltimore, Maryland, 21212. Witness the hand and seal of the said grantor. Witness. Mark L. Stengel. On this day of 2010, before me, a notary public, in the jurisdiction aforesaid, the undersigned officer, personally appeared Mark L. Stengel. Genuine Title Corporation.
2010 Maryland, Form
1. Transferor information. Name of transferor. Mark L. Stengel. 3a. Individual transferors. Mark L. Stengel.
And finally, exhibit number 25, is the formation of an LLC, which Mr. Stengel had no knowledge of. It does not bear his signature, and even misspells his given name.
Entity name.
MS Global, RE, LLC.
Type of request.
Articles of Incorporation.
The purpose for which the limited liability corporation is filed is as follows.
Real estate.
The address of the limited liability company in Maryland is
Post Office Box, 223. Glendon, Maryland, 21071.
Resident Agent.
Mark Stengel.
Garrison Forest School. An issue raised by Miss Siliski during the course of a rather endless divorce proceeding was that it was Mark Stengel's behavior that caused Garrison Forest School to distance itself from Maya. The attached inter-office email, exhibit number 26, describes Miss Siliski's conduct and efforts to derail her own daughter's academic progress.
Garrison Forest School internal memo, dated March 10, 2009, at 5:01 p.m. From Gail Hutton, teacher. To Zibby Andrews, head of lower school. To Jeannie Wareham. Zibby. I had a long chat with Maya this morning. Before we even began, she asked me if I had gotten her mom's email. Why would Susie tell her that she was writing the email? I don't know. Anyway, Maya told me she loves language arts, and she loves reading the Baby Mouse books, which she does incessantly. She is doing much better, as I told the parents at their 2-hour conference last Wednesday. Maya is most upset about lunch, but I talked to girls at the table, and they were a little confused, but they felt sad for Maya. I don't think it is intentional. I explained how hurtful that can be to feel left out, and they were great, and they all now want to sit with her. The bigger issue is Susie. She baits Maya, she eggs it all on. Maya had a lunch issue and it ballooned out of proportion. Maya enjoys both my class and Lisa's. I talked to Lisa and she said Maya is really coming along in math. She is having success, Zibby, but I think Mom doesn't like her being in the low groups, and is making a huge deal in front of Maya, and is making her feel inadequate. Let me know if there is anything more you want me to do. I did not respond to Susie. I will leave that to Shodra. I do feel that if Susie wants to discuss academics with Shodra, I should be there. Shodra has no idea where Maya is academically. Gail. The bigger issue is Susie. She baits Maya, she eggs it all on.
13. Building permit, and the Zolotoro letter. On 2 separate occasions, Miss Siliski enlisted her friends to either cause aggravation to Mr. Stengel, or to aid her in her divorce case. A. James Parks. Mr. Parks is a friend and business associate, Mount Vernon Realty, of Miss Siliski. Even though Mr. Parks lives nowhere near the Stengel home located at 3743 Birch Lane, he filed the attached complaint with Baltimore County, alleging that no permit was ever obtained for the construction of a roof deck at the Birch Lane address. Exhibit number 27.
February 17, 2011. Building inspection complaint. Complainant. James Parks.
B. On September the 16th, 2010, Miss Siliski purposefully slammed the kitchen cabinet door into Mr. Stengel's head, causing visible injury. This was in the presence of her children. When confronted with that very incident while testifying in court before Judge Martin, Miss Siliski stated it was all an accident, and that Mr. Stengel simply embellished the entire incident. See exhibit number 5E, video/audio disc. In preparation for trial, Miss Siliski went so far as to enlist her friend and neighbor to write a letter, exhibit number 28, from which he later withdrew, stating that the incident was staged.
From Mr. Zolotoro. To Bradford G. Carney. Wednesday, January 26, 2011. Brad, I have known Susie since 1994. We worked together at the Associated. My wife and I were at her wedding. We were quite disturbed a few weeks ago when we received an email from Mark Stengel. It had a video of Susie and Mark in their kitchen. The video looked staged with the cabinet hitting Mark.
Again, a fair assessment of this video belies that assessment. 14. Farmers and Merchants Bank termination. Ms. Siliski was employed by Farmers and Merchants Bank until early 2010. At a court proceeding on November 30, 2012, before Judge Enza, Ms. Siliski testified regarding her job termination, as follows. See Exhibit number 29, transcript.
Let me tell you, my feeling on it was that I was overqualified for the job.
Attached as Exhibit number 30 is the Farmers and Merchants Bank termination letter regarding Ms. Siliski. Exhibit number 30.
Farmers and Merchants Bank, termination. 2. Jim Bosley, President, Personnel File. From, Chris Oswald, Senior Vice President, and Chief Operations Officer, Marketing Director. Date, January 27, 2010. Regarding termination of employment, Susie Stengel, Part-time Marketing Specialist, meeting. On Wednesday, January 27, 2010, at 8:40 a.m., Chris Oswald met with Susie Stengel to discuss the bank's decision to terminate employment, in explanation of the identified concerns, and reoccurrence of performance issues for this employee. Jim Bosley, President, was witness to the meeting and discussion. Mr. Oswald began the discussion by explaining to Mrs. Stengel, that after extensive year-end work, he met with Mr. Bosley, early last week to discuss Mrs. Stengel's annual performance appraisal. He continued by stating that although she received a cost of living increase to her pay in 2010, as an hourly employee, there was no merit increase for her performance because, the overall rating was almost meets expectation, the fourth lowest evaluation rating. He identified there were some positives in her 2009 review, including work on the commercial banking brochure development, budget preparations, web redesign project, and execution of press releases for the bank. He continued by stating, there were 3 areas identified as a negative rating of almost meets expectations, for the areas of initiative, problem-solving/decision-making, relative to her decision to produce and air a reverse mortgage cable television commercial without any authorization or knowledge of it by Mr. Oswald and Mr. Bosley, and in the human relations area, for her indiscretion of placing her hand in her supervisor's face, on December 11, 2008, and then, apologizing for the gesture as a slip in professionalism in a subsequent email on the same day. Mr. Oswald continued by communicating, in addition to the negative performance rating, there were additional concerns in the occurrence of 20 email notifications in 2009, 4 leave requests and non-report requests for scheduled office days in her monthly schedule. In 2010, through 16 business days, there have already been 5 leave requests and non-report requests for scheduled office days by the employee. In addition, these leave requests have impacted the performance and necessary attention to detail in her position. Identified examples were, the routine completion of weekly web updates that were consistency missed, or unaccounted for since its inception in October 2009, attention to detail errors in Mrs. Stengel's submitted 2010 budget draft, and the recent second edition of the bank's newsletter, that Mrs. Stengel desired to post to the website as completed, only to reflect numerous spelling and information accuracy errors when proofed by Mr. Oswald and Mr. Bosley. Mr. Oswald continued by stating, in review of her past performance appraisals, identified issues that have not been corrected in performance during her employment tenure, but were still occurring included, excessive issues regarding inability to report with varying excuses, crossover of personal matter being resolved during scheduled office days, and lack of focus to accomplish tasks in an accurate and timely manner. Based on the expectations and compensation for this bank marketing position, and the raised concerns identified, Mr. Oswald indicated the bank does not feel that the employee's performance and commitment to correct these concerns when raised in the past, were a match at this time, and the bank has made a decision to part ways with the employee and pursue another direction for the position. He communicated that he would need for Mrs. Stengel to provide her exterior door bank key, and that he would provide a box to gather her personal belongings in the office. Mrs. Stengel responded, "No problem, thank you," and indicated she desired the box for her belongings. Mr. Bosley communicated that although there were some positive contributions over time, it was not a match in the bank's expectations to work in unison with the marketing director, and he wished her well in her future pursuits. Mrs. Stengel stated, "No problem," and thanked Mr. Bosley and wished him luck as well. Mrs. Stengel gathered her personal items, and Mr. Oswald carried the box to her vehicle, where she communicated to "Take care, and best of luck to you," and he exchanged the same to her. Mrs. Stengel proceeded to the bank's Riceturstown branch, where she closed all of her personal and family bank accounts held at Farmers and Merchants Bank. Mr. Oswald reviewed the user account network files, and email account for Mrs. Stengel, in review of the associated marketing files and email correspondence for the former employee. All of the associated marketing files were verified and stored on the Upper Co-01 server. In review of the email correspondence for the past 6-month period, there were 6 identified emails indicating personal matters being managed and corresponded from the bank's email account, relative to the estate of Gordon Sileski, preparation of last will and testament, title work for 603 Dover Road property, purchase of a MetLife auto and home insurance policy and agreement, and payment terms for the Stengel family HSA health and dental insurance plan. Mr. Oswald issued a personnel memorandum via email correspondence to all bank employees, in notification of the employee's termination, and a request to forward all future marketing correspondence to his attention until further notice. On the afternoon of Wednesday, January 27, 2010, Mr. Oswald received email correspondence at 4:55 p.m., regarding the marketing position, which included a file attachment containing a resume, from Mindy Lipsey of Owings Mills, Maryland. Mr. Oswald contacted Ms. Lipsey on Thursday, January 28, 2010, to inquire the nature of her correspondence, with consideration that it was an internal bank matter and not public knowledge or an advertised position. Ms. Lipsey communicated, she heard it through the grapevine. When Mr. Oswald requested clarification, she stated, Susie Sileski or Stengel. Mr. Oswald thanked her for her time. Prepared by Christopher T. Oswald, Senior Vice President, and Chief Operating Officer. Date, January 28, 2010.
My feeling on it was that I was overqualified for the job.
15. Attached as exhibit number 31, is a series of emails written by 5 different individuals. The emails are obviously a product of Ms. Sileski's coaching, especially in light of the email of December 17, 2010, where Mr. Barrison is instructed on how to word his email to Mr. Stengel.
From Kelly Weinberg to Mr. Stengel. Thursday, December 16, 2010, at 3:15 p.m. Mark, I find these emails intimidating, stressful and upsetting. Do not email me or CC me in another email. If you do, I will bring this to the attention of the Baltimore County State's Attorney Office. Kelly Weinberg. From Sarah Blattner to Mr. Stengel. Thursday, December 16, 2010, at 5:49 p.m. Mark, I find these emails intimidating, stressful and upsetting. Do not email me or CC me in another email. If you do, I will bring this to the attention of the Baltimore County State's Attorney Office. Sarah Blattner. From Marcia Treese to Mr. Stengel. Thursday, December 16, 2010, at 9:42 p.m. Mark, I find these emails intimidating, stressful and upsetting. Do not email me or CC me in another email. If you do, I will bring this to the attention of the Baltimore County State's Attorney Office. Marcia Treese. From Tamara Bensky to Mr. Stengel. Friday, December 17, 2010, at 9:07 a.m. Mark, I find these emails to be completely unnecessary and offensive. Do not email me or CC me in another email. If you do, I will bring this to the attention of the Baltimore County State's Attorney Office. Tamara Bensky. From Susie@onivatours.com. Sent, Friday, December 17, 2010, 11:44 a.m. To Michael Barrison. Subject, regarding, secure email address. The email to him should state the following, from my attorney's mouth. Mark, I find these emails to be offensive and unnecessary. Do not email me or CC me in another email. If you do, I will bring this to the attention of the Baltimore County State's Attorney Office. Signed. Your legal name.
16. Exhibit number 32, is an email to Scott Stengel from Miss Sileski dated July 12, 2014. Scott is a second-year law student at the University of Baltimore. The ground rules established by Miss Sileski that would enable Scott to speak with Alex Amaya are nothing less than Hitleresque.
From Susie Sileski. Date, July 12, 2014, at 8:57 p.m. To Scott Stengel, Alex Stengel, at boyslatinmd.com, Maya Stengel. CC, Leon Berg, Legal Leon, at AOL.com.
Subject, communication with the kids. Scott. I was pleased to hear that you reached out to your brother and sister. Alex and Maya were really happy to hear from you. And yes, your phone number was blocked from their cell phones. I'm not sure I understand why when Alex returned your call to Jonah's cell, that it actually rang to your cell phone, unless you set up calls from Alex to relay to your phone. Anyway, the only reason it was ever blocked was due to your behavior. I hope we can move past that now and into a healthy relationship for you and the kids. I had a conversation with Alex about how I felt about your call today. We have a very good, honest relationship and we've come a long way. We've worked hard at establishing trust and communication and we focus on honesty and I'm not interested in that changing now. So I asked him why he told you that we were going to Florida this summer and he said he didn't want to tell you we were heading to Boston. We see Mike and Adam a lot and the kids have a great relationship with both of them. There isn't anything to hide. We are also going to Oregon at the end of the summer to visit the Blattners and celebrate Aliyah's bat mitzvah. I want you to know that I specifically told Alex that your call made me quite nervous because of your past actions. Those actions are why I was advised to block your communications. I hope that I can keep the lines of communication open. It will be up to you and how you choose to interact with your brother and sister for the lines to remain open. So here are my ground rules for communicating with my kids, and they are non-negotiable for now. Unfortunately, although I trust Alex and Maya, I haven't been able to trust you. So here are my rules. 1. All calls will be put on speakerphone and I will listen to your conversations. Alex heard you speaking to your dad and knows that Mark was listening to the call today. 2. All emails and texts initiated by Alex or Maya will be reviewed by me before they are sent to you. 3. All emails from you will be read by me and if I feel they are inappropriate, the communication between you and your siblings will, once again, end. Topics that are off limits, anything at all related to the divorce, anything that has to do with me personally, professionally, or legally, anything that has to do with our personal family activities. Topics that are not off limits, school, sports, music, Xbox games, the Ravens, the Orioles, each of your respective pets, activities the kids are involved. 4. Text messages will also be pre-read, and if you text Alex or Maya, I will read them. No privacy. No secrecy. If I choose to respond to you, I will. 5. Xbox. Alex uses a headset. He also plays at times when I am in bed, not asleep, but not in the same room with him. He will not be allowed to play with you on a headset, and he must let me know when the two of you are playing, so that I can monitor the conversation. If your father is playing with Alex, I need to know, and your father is not, to communicate with Alex or Maya, per the consent order. Thus, no texting in Xbox is allowed. If all goes well, I will relax the rules. But for now, it's the way it has to be. If you can abide by these rules, I am happy to have you interact with Alex and Maya. I told Alex that I would update you on their lives. I also told him that you could share this information with their dad.
This matter is set for trial on January the 22nd, 2015. I request that you seriously consider the content of this letter. It is but the tip of Miss Oleski's deceit. There are a number of crimes that she should be charged and prosecuted for. As it now stands, in my opinion, the wrong person is charged. Kindly contact me when you have reviewed this letter. In conclusion, if you have not heard enough, please pay special attention to Miss Oleski's display in front of her daughter, Maya, her finger. How precious is that? Thank you. Very truly yours, Richard M. Karseski.
The next minute contains 3 pages of the 30-page criminal filing.
State of Maryland versus Mark Stengel. Criminal case number 03-K-14-0997. Scott D. Schellenberger, State's Attorney for Baltimore County.
Jill P. Savage, Assistant State's Attorney for Baltimore County.
Scott D. Schellenberger, State's Attorney for Baltimore County.
Jill P. Savage, Assistant State's Attorney for Baltimore County. May 21, 2014. Jill P. Savage, Assistant State's Attorney for Baltimore County. Witnesses: 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. 3. Susan Sileski. 4. Mark Dickel, Baltimore County Sheriff's Office. 5. Family Violence Representative. Witnesses: 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. Witnesses: 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
Day December 18th. The day I finally broke out of prison.
Witnesses: 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
It's August 26th at 9 a.m. And if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
Fraud upon the courts, the taxpayers, and society. Series 1, Episode 1. No way. Yeah way. Working Development Research Stage. Agreement. Pause to read. Minimum age of 18 required. Exposing fraud. November the 29th, 2010.
You didn't take the recycle out. You're going to take it out? They're driving around the driveway. You're not going to take all this trash out?
Yeah.
But they're out there now. Why wouldn't you just take it out? Why wouldn't you empty the trash can? I don't understand. Huh?
Okay.
But today's the recycle day. It's a recycle bin.
Now you gotta stop in here. Hold on, it's there. Is that done?
Let's see. That's done.
That's out. File on back.
Mr. Stengel meets with a mediator earlier in the day, as documented and confirmed in emails. It was getting late. Mr. Stengel was wondering where the kids were, as he waits for his children to get home with their mother.
Who is it?
Boulevard County Sheriff. I need to talk to you, Mark.
To me? I wonder who my wife is.
Yes, you're Mark, right? Yeah. Okay, how you doing? Well, the deputy will be on the way. Just let me tell you what's going on.
I'm just gonna call the cops. I don't know where my wife is, and I'm hurting my kids a little bit.
Your wife is fine. I spoke to her. Let me tell you what's going on. All right, let me start out by saying this to you, okay? This is a temporary protective order, and what they are one-sided at this point, okay? Now, let me go on to explain what happened. She went to the circuit court today and made certain allegations, and that is the operative word, allegations, okay? I wasn't here, and I don't know if anybody else was, okay? But,
Come on here.
okay.
The lights go off for
Okay.
my system here. Okay, so go ahead.
Anyway, based on the allegations that were made, okay,
Yeah.
Judge Cox, the circuit court, has issued a temporary protective order, okay? Now, this is your copy, you'll get a copy of this and all, but I gotta read this to you by law, okay? And then, let me finish, let me read it,
Then I'll tell you.
okay? And then you can ask me any questions that you have, okay? And at that point, I'll be more than happy to answer anything that you have, okay? All right. That you shall not abuse, threaten to abuse, or harass Susie, your wife, Maya, who is Maya, and who is Alexander, your children?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. That you shall not contact in person, by phone, in writing, or any other means to attempt Susie, who is your wife. Doesn't say anything about your kids, okay? That you shall not enter the residence here.
This is my house.
I know that. You're going to be vacating it. Okay, you're going to be leaving. You're going to be leaving. You're going to be leaving, okay, for 7 days. That's what's going to... No, I'm not kidding
She
you.
cleaned up the house already.
Okay, well, hold
Look
on.
at all the pictures.
Look.
I can't call my son?
You're not going to call anybody.
Really?
Okay, no, not right now. Let me explain
All right,
something,
okay.
okay? Right now, everything is cool, okay?
Sure.
Right now, this is a civil matter.
That's fine.
Okay, just let me say what I'm saying. Okay.
I'm not in trouble.
Okay, well, that's the point. This is a civil matter. Okay? If we have a problem and I have to wind up locking you up.
No, I'm not giving you
Okay, I'm just saying, then it becomes a criminal matter.
Right.
And we don't want that.
No,
Okay, so.
That I'm not doing.
Okay, I don't want you to. I'm trying
I'm not.
before you.
No.
Okay.
I'm not understanding this whole.
I'm going to help you out here.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. I don't know you, I don't know her. I'm just the mediator. I'm the middleman having to read this to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, on behalf of the judge. All right? Anyway, that you shall not enter the residence.
Due to many uncontrollable issues over the years, and escalating rage over the recent weeks, Mr. Stengel had to call the police multiple times. Due to the police having witnessed, and being subjected to Miss Siliski, they contacted the Mobile Crisis Unit. The Mobile Crisis kept calling Mr. Stengel, to convince him to go to the courts and request a court order, for Mrs. Siliski Stengel to have an emergency psychological evaluation. The Mobile Crisis Unit first called Mr. Stengel the day before, on November the 28th, 2010, at 10:18 a.m. They called a second time on November the 29th, 2010, at 5:12 p.m., less than 2 hours before the deputy sheriffs arrived. Mr. Stengel suggested the deputy sheriff call them back at 7:12 p.m.
Because the cop the cop wrote a report.
Okay, and send it to Mobile Crisis. Do you have the name of the officer for Mobile Crisis and the number?
Wait a second. The name, I have their number because they called me on here.
Okay. How long ago did they call?
I'm going to tell you, like maybe an hour and a half ago.
All right, try to give them back on the phone.
And they called me yesterday.
About your wife, not you?
Yeah,
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, I do.
This is really a problem.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Well, you still got to vacate the home. I don't believe the judge knows everything.
Listen.
The judge is gone for the night, so.
Come with me a second. Just come with me 1 second, okay?
Let's go.
You have to. This is Mark Stengel on Birch Lane, Owens Mills, Maryland. I got a call from a fellow about an hour ago, and can you look it up, please? Because I have Stengel, Stengel. Can you put him on the phone, please?
Tell the sheriff wants to talk to him.
Yeah. Okay, you were calling to see if I was able to get it.
Tell him the deputy sheriff
The deputy sheriff wants to talk to him. Or somebody. Is he there?
All right, I'm going to talk to somebody.
You talk to him.
Hi, excuse me, man. This is Deputy Pickle from the sheriff's office. You get him wrong, I want him out of here. All right, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're going to
Okay, great.
explaining all this.
Now, wait, listen. My kids are in the house, okay? I'm not leaving my kids with her. You understand? This is crazy. I want to help you.
Explaining all this stuff to us, how he's been involved with Mobile Crisis. I have a protective order, a vacate order, signed by Judge Cox of the Circuit Court for putting him out of the house. Okay? Is there a detective that has been working with him that's involved somehow, some way with this, the Stengels? I can. What's his unit number? 1974? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Because he's telling me she's goofy, but she's got the kids, and the order advised, the order of the protective order is giving custody to her. I obviously have no way of getting in touch with the cops this time of the night, so I want to let them know. Obviously, Mom isn't telling everything here, and I got to put Dad out of the house. So anyway, I'll get a hold of 1974, and we'll take it from there. Yep, I'll take care of it. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, bye. Yes, it is. This is crazy. Yeah, man, how are you? Fine, how are you? Alright. Oh, good. Listen, I'm here, like I told you, at Mr. Stengel's house. But what he's concerned about is this.
Right, just go down the
First of all,
right.
when I got the order sent down to the clerk's office, I always call the petitioner to make sure, things are cool, And, anyway, as, a cop for 29 years in Boulevard City, I've been shot at doing protective order, so I've got a funny thing about that, Point is, I called her and said, well, this order says there's a gun in the house. Well, if he tells me there's not a gun, this is not a search warrant. I don't have the right to search his house. I said, can you meet me over here and show me where it is? And she says, well, it's in the closet. It's underneath of these clothes. And she's describing these clothes. Well, we just went upstairs with Mr. Stengel. That gun's not here that I can find. So I don't know where to look for it. He's concerned, in her mental state, that she possibly has taken this weapon, although there are no bullets for it. Okay?
Not with it, because she moved those.
And she has the gun and the possession of their children, or cut them.
I don't know if she does. I know it's not there now.
All he knows is the gun's here. He doesn't know if she's, taking the thing or not. So we don't know what's going on. But she will be coming back to the house a little later. Okay? So I'm supposed to call her when he leaves, which will be in the next 5 minutes. Okay? But he just wanted you to be aware of what was going on, being that, he's been dealing with you.
Let me get that police report thing.
Okay? Oh, okay, I didn't know. That's why I called the office and they told me 1974. I thought maybe it was you. I didn't know. Uh-huh. Okay, again, he's cool. He's fine. I don't believe, based on what I'm seeing, as you well know, she made it to the courthouse before he did. So, anyway, he'll be vacating the home. We did not retrieve the gun. So, I don't know whether you guys are going to follow up with her or not, whatever you're going to do. But just be mindful. It could be here or she could be in possession of it.
Mr. Stengel is evicted from his own home at 7:48 p.m. The deputy sheriff served Mr. Stengel with the following filed sworn statements, under oath, and the penalty of perjury, none of which were raised by Miss Siliski to Mr. Stengel, at any time, in any format, ever, prior to this filing, unless confessing, nor does any evidence of any allegation exist, or was ever provided to anyone. November 29, 2010, filing. Timestamp, 8:53 a.m. Just 2 hours, 14 minutes after asking Mr. Stengel to take out the trash. And only 1 hour 42 minutes after viewing the cameras through the TV. Apparently the time it took to drive to the courthouse, completely fill out this filing, after which, the court stamped it. Allegations, A.
Domestic violence.
Checked. A.
Relief for Miss Selesky and minor child.
Checked. B.
Relief from abuse by Mr. Stengel.
C.
On or about November 2010, kicking, punching, slapping, rape or other sexual offense, or attempt, shoving, choking and or strangling, stalking.
All unchecked.
Other.
Checked. D.
Videotaping petitioner against her will.
E.
My husband has hidden cameras around the house.
F.
Has used his cell phone to tape me and the kids.
G.
I don't know where the cameras are.
H.
He has shown video footage to my son, age 10.
I.
He has made a mirror copy of my hard drive.
J.
He owns a gun, and I feel afraid, all the time.
K.
Hasn't worked in 3 years.
L.
He is using morphine and Ambien to get high.
M.
Threats of violence.
Checked. N.
Detained against will.
Checked. O.
Mental injury of a child.
Checked. P.
Lived with Mr. Stengel past year, every day except October 30th to November 1st, when I tried to move out.
Q. Describe all past injuries by Mr. Stengel.
May 2010, bruise on upper left arm from violent altercation.
R.
Not to go to schools.
Checked.
Boys Latin School. Garrison Forest School.
S.
To leave the home.
Checked. T.
To turn over firearms.
Checked. U.
To go to counseling for domestic violence.
Unchecked. V.
To pay money.
Checked. W.
Rental income of $8,000 per month.
X.
To go to counseling for drug and alcohol.
Checked. Y.
I solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury, that the contents of the foregoing petition, are true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief.
Z.
Miss Sileski Stengel, signed and dated, the Emergency Temporary Protective Order Petition.
Questions for the experts. Is each false sworn statement by Miss Sileski considered a crime? Is each considered disparaging, talking bad about Mr. Stengel, the children's father? Is each false statement considered lying? Is it considered misconduct? Dishonesty? After Miss Sileski filed the emergency protective order at 8:53 a.m., her filing is provided to Judge Cox. Miss Sileski had to again swear, under oath under penalty of perjury, in front of Judge Cox, and prove to the judge that she and the children were all in imminent danger. Hence, emergency. Next, are the transcripts, showing some of Miss Sileski's sworn testimony from that morning of November the 29th, 2010, and in front of Judge Kathleen Cox. In the Got Chaz, No Way Outs list, Ms. Sileski's filing notes, 27 actions, and her sworn testimony, which is next, adds another 48, totaling 75 actions. Of the over 2,000 documented. November the 29th, 2010, transcript cover page. 1. Judge.
Seeking a petition for relief from domestic violence against your husband, Mark Stengel, is that correct?
Answer.
Yes.
2.
I have an appointment today at 1 o'clock to seek a divorce from my husband.
Fact. Mr. Stengel goes to mediator. Miss Sileski confesses going to an attorney. Who is responsible for it all? 3.
I believe my husband has some kind of substance abuse issue.
4.
He was on oxycodone-oxycontin cocktail for quite some time, including up until this incident in May.
5.
In 2009, he went into a fit of rage. He calmed down, and I went back into the house.
6.
January 2009, he was still on the oxycontin, oxycodone, mixture. March of this year, 2010, in New Jersey.
7.
He walked 6 to 7 miles to a train station.
8.
He said, I want a divorce.
9.
He threatened me. Come get me, or you will regret it.
Judge asks.
Is whether there is grounds for relief?
10.
This is the violent part is in May.
11.
He forcibly prevented me from leaving the house. I get in the car.
Huh? 12.
He reaches into the passenger side of car, and tries to rip my purse out of the car window.
13.
In the process, creates a welt on the side of my arm.
14.
There were witnesses to this.
Plural.
I didn't report it.
15.
He has been videotaping me in the house, and showing the footage to the children.
Fact. Filing said, son, now children, plural. 16.
I just got wind of this recently.
17.
He has been telling the children things that he should never tell the children.
Judge.
What kinds of things?
18.
Your mother's deluded.
19.
She has mental illness.
Fact A. False. About Mr. Stengel saying that. B. Her own medical records say that. 20.
Then, telling them, that friends of mine, are out to get him.
21.
I unplugged several of the videos.
Note, the unaware of hidden ones. Fact, Miss Sileski helped wire them after arguing who does the yelling. Judge.
Where were they?
22.
One was hiding on a shelf in the office.
23.
It's hiding and I took a picture of it.
Huh? Note, is this judge awake? 24.
Then I unplugged it, and I took it with me.
Note, the unaware of hidden cameras are plugged in. 25.
Along with, in the office facing my son who plays Xbox. It was literally on the shelf, facing the chair.
26.
There was one in the kitchen, sitting on top of the stereo equipment, facing the kitchen, and hiding behind a book.
Huh? 27. Judge.
Are these running all the time?
Answer.
All the time.
28.
And they're cabled.
29.
And they are hooked up to his server.
30.
In the basement.
Note, dear Judge, wake up. Miss Sileski sounds like the installer. Dear Judge Cox, what exactly are you doing back there? You have her filing in front of you. Allow me to show you letter G. Filing G.
I don't know where the cameras are.
31.
He's recently made a mirror copy of my hard drive, and put it on a thumb drive.
Judge.
How do you know that?
32.
Because I have the thumb drive.
33.
I was starting to feel like he was following me. He had told me that.
Huh? 34.
He was following me, on Google Maps.
Note, dear judge, the filing you are looking at, stalking is unchecked. Note, let me help you out. Filing. See.
On or about November 2010, kicking, punching, slapping, rape or other sexual offense, or attempt, shoving, choking and or strangling, stalking.
All unchecked. Miss Siliski describes being stalked as,
which I thought was a little weird.
35.
So I started thinking, maybe he spyware on my thumb.
Note, so she continued to fabricate, as it appeared to be working. 36.
I emailed a friend of ours, that used to work for him in France.
Notes. 1. Miss Siliski harasses intern in France. 2. Involves international witnesses. Australia, France, Canada. 3. Miss Siliski is the busiest victim in the history of the planet. Repeating, Miss Siliski is the busiest victim in the history of the planet. Note, and it just so happens. 37.
I pulled the thumb drive out of his computer.
Note, Mr. Stengel's laptop is a PC, not a Mac. 38.
Stuck it in my computer, and saw my hard drive come up.
Note, Miss Siliski has a Mac. 39.
And for further evidence.
Fact, manufactures a witness, named Eileen Rosenberg-Shear. 40.
I took it to a friend's house. Neighbor had 13-year-old with Mac.
Note, involved, harassed and conned Eileen Rosenberg-Shear, and now involved her neighbor, and their 13-year-old child. A witness trifecta. Judge asks.
He showed your son video footage. Do you know what he showed him footage of?
41.
No idea.
Note, dear sleeping judge, her filing said son. Testimony now says children. It already changed. Now confessing, she doesn't know. Judge.
Have you talked to your husband about any of this?
Huh? Judge, very sorry to bother you, that filing in front of you. Look at both E and G. Filing. E.
My husband has hidden cameras around the house.
Filing. G.
I don't know where the cameras are.
Judge.
Have you talked to your husband about any of this?
Fact, no. None of it ever happened. Besides, talked about what? The unaware of hidden cameras. Is that a trick question? If she answers in the affirmative, it's automatically perjury. 42.
I have asked him to stop.
43.
He said it's for your own good.
Note, did she just say, discussions took place regarding the covert, unaware of hidden cameras? 44.
That's what he keeps telling our kids too.
Note, the kids are also present to these discussions regarding the unaware of covert hidden cameras. Judge.
All right. Give me a second. Let me fill out this order.
Huh? Really? Dear Judge, Ms. Siliski claiming all these abuses, yet has a problem with it being documented. What abused person would not want everything documented? Reality, she didn't come in as abused, rather to abuse, including the judge and fraud upon the court. It's her only mode. Miss Siliski keeps going. 45.
He has a handgun, up in the bedroom closet.
Note, play fear of gun card, danger danger. Miss Siliski, still going. 46.
I have an email from him asking where the bullets are.
Note, fear of gun card, and danger danger danger. And she keeps on going and going. 47.
He's now on morphine instead of the OxyContin, oxycodone, and he takes that with Ambien and hallucinates.
Note, Miss Siliski cannot control herself. Judge.
If you really have a concern for safety.
Note, if. And you're signing the order. Dear Judge, if you really have a concern for safety. If true, then continue past the courthouse to safety. If not, go to courthouse, judge and commit crimes. Was she distressed? She sounds more like she is high on meth or cocaine. Judge.
If there's a concern for real safety issues.
Note, again with the if true, continue past courthouse. If false, put your hands behind your back. We have a safe place for you. Judge, if
there's a concern for real safety issues, you may want to consult with someone.
Note, real safety, opposed to the false and fraudulent type. You may want to consult. Dear Judge Cox, if you're playing solitaire, stop. She already told you she consulted with someone. An attorney. Hint. Remember, she has an afternoon appointment. Apparently, the attorney sent her to you to commit crimes, first, making you Miss Sileski's morning appointment. Besides, if you picked up the phone for 5 minutes, you would have learned what the deputy sheriff figured out in 2 minutes. Right. Not the policy, or how we do things. Destroy kids' lives first, ask questions later. You know, to err on the side of caution. Or to err on the side of psychosis. Judge.
Concern for real safety issues. Think about getting out of the house for a period of time.
48.
That's what I want to do.
Fact. Standing there, she is already out of the house. Note. Judge signs imminent danger order and says to think about getting out of danger location. The temporary order is granted. Judge Cox doesn't bother checking her computer next to her to see that for 52 years, the police had no idea who Mr. Stengel or his children even were. Questions. Number 1, again, is each false sworn statement, under oath by Miss Sileski, considered disparaging, talks bad about Mr. Stengel? Number 2, is each false sworn statement, under oath by Miss Sileski, considered misconduct or dishonesty? Number 3, is each false sworn statement, perjury? The children's schools, Boys Latin School of Maryland and Garrison Forest School, nor anyone else, were provided copies of Miss Sileski's allegations, filing A to Z, or her sworn testimony number 1 to number 48. Just the following court order, stating Mr. Stengel must leave his home, must not harass or threaten his wife, must stay away from the schools, turn over firearms, things like that. You know. Danger, danger, danger. Number 1, shall not abuse, threaten or harass his son, his daughter or Miss Sileski. Number 2, shall not contact in person, by telephone, in writing, or by any other means or attempt to contact Susie Sileski Stengel. Number 4, shall stay away from Boys Latin School and Garrison Forest School. Number 6, custody of children with Miss Sileski. Number 7, shall surrender all firearms to law enforcement agency. November 29, 2010, temporary emergency court order. Judge Kathleen Cox signs the order. Proving a negative is not easy to do. The red letters A to Z in her November 29, 2010 filing and number 1 to number 48 in her November 29, 2010 testimony denote evidence proving Mrs. Sileski Stengel 1. Filed 100% false allegations and false swearing. 2. Has zero evidence to back up any claims. 3. Knowingly committed perjury. 4. Aware with foreknowledge each and every allegation was false and fraudulent. 5. Knowingly and wrongfully involved others. 6. Always do what is in the worst interest of kids. For example, the court order states, number 2, shall not contact, in person, by telephone, in writing, or by any other means or attempt to contact Susie Sileski Stengel. Nowhere in the order does it say Mr. Stengel cannot have contact with the children. However, Miss Sileski insisted on alienating the children from their father. Even though Mr. Stengel was the coach of his son's basketball team, son was not permitted to come to games or practices. Until the son escaped, what he called prison. What if all allegations are false? If 100% are false, then what? What if the allegations are confessions? What if all witnesses are proven victims? We begin dismantling the allegations by watching and listening to the confessions. Recap. 1. Mr. Stengel meets with mediator on November 29, 2010. 2. Miss Sileski files emergency protective order 2 hours after asking Mr. Stengel to take out trash. 3. Miss Sileski false swears in filing under oath. 4. Miss Sileski swears to Judge Cox, no evidence. 5. Judge Cox signs order. Schools involved. 6. Deputies arrive to evict Mr. Stengel. 7. Gun missing. Deputy arrives at reality, easily. 8. Allegations A to Z plus number 1 to number 48 read more like a whodunit mystery, already conflicting. Recap. 2. Miss Sileski swears to, and manufactures the following. Mr. Stengel. 1. Has substance abuse issues. Oxycontin, oxycodone, cocktail, mixture. 2. Is violent, unpredictable. 3. Has hidden cameras. Shows kids video. 4. Owns gun, always afraid, asked for bullets. 5. Disparages Miss Siliski to the children. 6. Tells children adult things. 7. Mr. Stengel is a danger. Danger. Important information: the paid child custody evaluation, expert, and paid alleged best interest attorney for the kids were provided, all which has and will be seen in the timeline, and much more. Mr. Leonberg's expert, Dr. Killeen, under oath testified on December 1, 2011, it's Mr. Stengel who requires therapeutic supervised visitation. Reason: it's Mr. Stengel who disparages Mrs. Siliski, aka Stengel, to the children. Huh? Many questions remain unanswered. Really hundreds, but here are just 4 or so. 1. Specifically, what did Mr. Stengel do, to who, when, and specifically, what hard-sourced evidence is there to back it up? 2. Which specifically had remotely led to therapeutic supervised visitation? Or 0 communication with his children? 3. Why would the paid experts also disparage Mr. Stengel? How is it in the kid's best interest? 4. Why does everything conflict with evidence? The experts say,
"Sorry kids, we understand you love your daddy. However, we have businesses to run. Whatever your own experiences are, and have been, you must come to learn are delusional. Our information that does not match your own experiences, is to be your reality. Remember kids, we are the experts. Now, get back in line and behave."
Through the entire series and afterwards, always remember, it would have only taken one person, one detective, one captain, one paid expert, one judge, either oversight commission, one state's attorney, one assistant state's attorney, the state of Maryland, the state prosecutor, etc., to end this charade and abuses too many. Or, knowingly allow this criminal group to continue abusing all those they fraudulently involved, and keep involving, wrongfully, with foreknowledge and malice. And, with very bad intentions. Millions, financed by the largest group of victims, the taxpayers. They commit crimes to obtain fraudulent orders, to then point to those orders as evidence of Mr. Stengel's wrongdoings, then used to manipulate and con others. However, they are simply pointing to the evidence of the results of their own ongoing colluded criminal actions. The end, or is it? No. Just the introduction to the introduction. Upcoming highlights.
Your father and I are definitely divorcing. Yeah, he just told me tonight. Your father and I are definitely divorcing. Yeah, he just told me tonight.
So changes what numbers? You can't afford to send your kids to good schools, and yet you're going to keep them in a school district that's going to become black, like Newtown and Randallstown. And then what? Let's hold on to the numbers for another $500, $5,000. Let's do that.
That's what I'm going to do. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to interact with you.
Regarding the racist evidence provided, Mr. Berg's response on July the 22nd, 2013, to the Attorney Grievance Commission complaint, states,
"As best interest attorney, I made no findings."
Reality. Opening one's eyes automatically makes findings. No findings equals not in line with agenda. Mr. Berg thinks, if he begins with,
"As best interest attorney,"
or,
"I relied on my expert,"
who says 2 + 2 = 73, he is not responsible for his actions and crimes.
Because I don't have hidden ones. Thank you.
Hidden ones?
Right.
You don't need hidden cameras. You can have small little things, but these are massive. How come?
Yes, you can't miss it.
Really?
Right. But then you would say, oh, you put little ones up there. What are you hiding? So I put that in and go, they're massive. Now that's a problem. Everything's a problem.
Nobody said
Stop.
you're hiding them.
Please stop.
No, I don't want to stop.
However, 5 days later, and Miss Siliski does this.
My husband has hidden cameras around the house.
Nobody said you're hiding them.
Please stop.
No, I don't want to stop.
Filing. G.
I don't know where the cameras are.
Yet a full month prior, on October the 29th, 2010, at 10:45 p.m., Miss Siliski calls and involves Mr. Stengel's older son.
Your father and I are definitely divorcing. Andrew just told me tonight.
11 hours later, on October the 30th, 2010, and, on the children's father's birthday, Miss Silisky cons and manipulates David and Betsy R. Stryker and others to assist in uprooting the minor children and removing the valuable artwork. Miss Silisky surely left out the part where Mr. Stengel, the night before, told her he wants a divorce. Betsy, Miss Silisky's best friend, as they are all best friends, making conning and manipulating easier, is alienated from being told about the cameras. Until it was too late, and caught on tape. Then it's too late for Betsy and David to back out. Their rights to be informed, intentionally removed, to complete an agenda. Would they have assisted in such an egregious acts against minors, had they been advised there were cameras that would record their actions? A question they will have to answer. A question Miss Silisky was not going to risk asking. This video, a month prior to Miss Silisky's filing.
You know, he can see me in the house. Did you know that? What do you mean? He's got his phone. He can look and see me in the house. What, are there cameras everywhere? Yeah, he can log in and see when I'm here and what I'm doing. Where are the cameras? That's what you mean. Huh? That's what he's done.
On the other side, one may wonder, if the cameras were such a problem, why never a complaint to her best friend?
The cameras are hidden, remember.
Right. Filing. P.
Lived with Mr. Stengel past year, every day except October 30th to November 1st, when I tried to move out.
Filing. G.
I don't know where the cameras are.
On November the 27th, 2010, and just 2 days before Miss Silisky's filing.
You showed him a picture?
He wanted to know what happened.
Excuse me.
Where the
you
stuff
showed
go in
him-
the house. I'm not getting, he wanted to know what happened to the stuff in his house.
And then you showed him a videotape of something that I was doing?
No,
And
not
you
a
don't want to
videotape.
get my son involved?
I never said a videotape.
You just said right here he showed me some of it, and I lied because
I did not.
Okay, listen, this is sick.
Where are my cameras?
This is sick. I put them away.
Filing. H.
He has shown video footage to my son, age 10.
Less than 5 hours later.
Because when I go upstairs, I'll put it up there. Okay? Don't worry about me, Mark. You worry about yourself. You worry about yourself and telling your kids and showing them videotape. Okay?
I haven't seen one videotape.
Yeah, if Daddy starts to show you a videotape, I want you to run the other way because that's wrong for any individual, especially an adult, to do to a child. And he's already tried to do that with Alex.
I did.
You did do it. He even told me you did.
15.
He has been videotaping me in the house, and showing the footage to the children.
Fact. Filing said, son, now children, plural. Testimony. 17.
He has been telling the children things that he should never tell the children.
Testimony. Judge.
What kinds of things?
18.
Your mother's deluded.
Fact. Allegation equals confession. Just 2 days prior, on November the 27th, 2010.
Trust me because you're a distrusting individual.
I'm not a distrusting individual.
You
Until I find out I don't
absolutely
trust somebody, that's where I'm. Would you
absolutely
please stop this with the kids in
are.
here? Please
You
stop.
stop it.
Stop with the
You're the
kids.
one who locked the door. You're the one who threatened me. You did. I think you should call the cops actually because you threatened me.
I threatened you?
Yeah, let's call the cops.
To what? Throw you out?
Yeah, let's call the cops.
Last night you're like, oh, I was in the movie theater with Maya. And
I was.
I wanted to hold your hand and.
It's the truth.
I mean, Susie, do you realize how you go from like
I
one
know.
extreme to the other? Susie, please, you have to talk to somebody. You just have to.
Mark,
you have to. You can't think this
Mark,
is straight.
You are a sick, deluded drug addict.
Yeah, okay.
However, less than 2 days later, and Miss Silisky does this. Testimony. Judge.
What kinds of things?
18.
Your mother's deluded.
Fact. Allegation equals confession. Testimony. 19.
She has mental illness.
Fact. A. False. About Mr. Stengel saying that. B. Her own medical records say that. C. Confession. It's Miss Silisky's acts.
Don't even let your wife talk. Ever.
You
don't even let me, because that's what it feels like. When you come, I do the dirty. Mark!
Dr. Alan Kimmel, Ms. Steggle's medical doctor, aware of Ms. Steggle's mental health issues.
Although this information was requested by Mr. Berg and provided by Mr. Stengel way back in February 2011, Mr. Liam W. Berg and Dr. Catherine Killeen both refused to obtain Miss Ileski's medical records. Yet by some magical mystery, Dr. Killeen was able to complete her so-called extensive psychological evaluation on Miss Ileski. It's called the magic of fraud.
We were talking to her, she's like, is he medicated? What the hell's wrong with him?
Really?
Like, I don't know. Maybe he was medicated. Yeah, pick who you're talking to, Mark. You think they're your friends. You talk to her twice in your life.
I know they're your friends.
They're not your friends. They're not going to advocate for you. They're not even going to go to bat for you. They think you're psychic. They think you're crazy. Okay? They know you're crazy. They've been listening to the stories that I've been telling them. They know you're nuts. They think you're psychic. They think you're crazy. Okay? They know you're crazy. They've been listening to the stories that I've been telling them. They know you're nuts. He's saying a sick house, not sick house.
It's the only ball we got.
Understand? And he's sitting here on his computer. I think you should videotape all kinds of stuff. He's sitting here on his videotape on his computer.
I'm playing on the go-to-mypoint.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I did pick it up. It was ringing, but I didn't know your password. So I put it down. It's got to be in the kitchen somewhere. I did pick it up. It was on the couch, right?
My phone was ringing?
It was ringing, and I went to pick it up, and I asked Alex if he knew your password. He said no.
Right.
You never asked me to know my password.
Yes, I did. You were watching Avatar. I certainly did. I looked right at you, and I said, what's his password?
I'm in here. I don't know his password.
He's saying a sick house, not sick house.
It's the only ball we got.
Understand? And he's sitting here on his computer. I think you should videotape all kinds of stuff. He's sitting here on his videotape on his computer.
I'm playing on the go-to-mypoint.com.
His camera's all over the house. Maybe his camera can locate it for him. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have it.
You don't have it.
Excuse me?
You sure you don't have it?
I'm absolutely positive.
Okay.
Okay? I'm positive I don't have it. I mean, I'm not sure why my husband is now calling the police every time something happens in our house.
Because apparently you guys were involved in a domestic dispute, and he called the police to try to settle it. And you decided to leave the home.
We're in a domestic dispute.
Not even a dispute. However, only 1.5 days later, and Miss Ileski does this. Filing. AA.
Domestic violence.
Checked.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you the cameras when you give me my hard drive off the servers.
31.
He's recently made a mirror copy of my hard drive, and put it on a thumb drive. What's it all about? The hard drive.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you the cameras when you give me my hard drive off the servers. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the cameras when you give me my hard drive off the servers.
Judge.
If there is a concern for real safety issues, get out of the house for a period of time.
47.
That's what I want to do.
Fact that victim needs to destroy hard drive.
Now, you're not in trouble for getting into his account, are you? Because I would have cracked his password for you to do this.
This is not something that I did to dig at him. This was to stop the agony from continuing. That's why I did it. There was no other way to get to the long haul. It was
J.
He owns a gun, and I feel afraid, all the time.
Well, there are no bullets in it. We can't find the bullets at the moment. The bullets are in the house somewhere, but I don't know where.
I mean, honestly, between you and the Landfest, he had it there because he's got an ego and he's a bully, and he wouldn't have let anybody hurt his kids or his family. That's 100% the truth.
J.
He owns a gun, and I feel afraid, all the time.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because he hasn't physically hurt me.
I think she's trying to find someone, and I think I may have found that person, who will say he could potentially hurt me or the children because he's a loose candidate. Okay, so I think that's what she's looking for. If she has that, then she can extend the protective order, which is really what the goal is.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because he hasn't physically hurt me.
I think she's trying to find someone, and I think I may have found that person, who will say he could potentially hurt me or the children.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because he hasn't physically hurt me.
8 days later, and with zero communication between Mr. Stengel and Miss Silisky, December the 7th, 2010, at the trial, where Miss Silisky has to prove her allegations. Page number 31, Miss Silisky, again swears under oath.
Question.
Ms. Stengel. On what your concerns are.
Answer.
My concern is he's out of control.
Question.
Please. What your concerns are about yourself that is bringing you here, to ask this judge to continue the protective order.
Answer.
He has been physically hurting me.
That counts as only one of the 114 documented just on December the 7th, 2010.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because he hasn't physically hurt me.
He has been physically hurting me.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because he hasn't physically hurt me.
He has been physically hurting me.
Didn't the judge realize that it was Hanukkah and one was Jewish and that we wanted to see Dad for Hanukkah? Mom, Dad, listen.
The judge did not like several things.
What's on the hard drive that is so critical? Some samples are illegal execution of father's will, bank fraud, forgery, attempted theft of real property, unemployment fraud, charity theft, staged events, forged checks, forged certificates of deposits, forged contracts, grand theft, con others into criminal activities, illegal covert audio recordings, invasion of privacy acts, defamation, had brother arrested, tax fraud. Theft exceeds $250,000, enroll relatives to assist in brother's false incarceration, fraudulent handling of father's estate, illegal execution of father's power of attorney, theft of estimated $30,000 insurance policy left to Margus Lita, laundering tactics used, confessions of abuses, forged bank documents, conversion, and 2 suspicious deaths. The list goes on and on. Filing. N.
Detained against will.
Checked.
Day December 18th, the day I finally broke out of prison.
Regarding the son's journal recordings, Mr. Berg further states,
hence the need for strict supervision of his father.
Question for Mr. Leon W. Berg and his expert Dr. Killeen. If assumed your 2 + 2 equals anything but 4 is correct.
Need for strict supervision.
Why would you leave the child at risk with father for over 10 months, until December the 1st, 2011? Regarding the son's journal recordings, further states,
Alex certainly made statements and writings indicating his adoption or parroting of his father's view of events.
Fact, yet, Alex's views match the videos. Given Mr. Berg and Dr. Killeen were provided everything, it clearly defines the crime line in the sand. Mr. Stengel versus the crime ring. Unlike this entire crime ring, that can't point to even one of their allegations, Mr. Stengel can, and has provided each letter or numbered perjury or fraud count, with hard evidence, backing up either the allegation is, not just false, but knowingly false, or, evidence showing, it is they, who have committed those very acts, which they allege. Allegations equals confessions. Redirect the focus, then attack. With 100% bullshit. Even if you disagree, your focus will be nowhere near them, and them, having done those very things. It's a win-win strategy for evil psychosis. Until Mr. Stengel's research, of course. The series not only states what is being done, but acts as a tool for unimaginable information to flow. Not only from unimaginable to imaginable, but to actual and current, and more importantly, to reality. Reality. The very thing Team F vehemently and collectively fight against. That too is unimaginable. An entire group, duty-bound to protect the children and public, do the opposite. Time and time again, forever.
The observations of adult professionals in their specialized fields, given the task of fighting reality at all costs, and the ways they go about it, by itself is worth the price of admission. Although they collectively make it appear they are arguing with Mr. Stengel, in reality, they are arguing with reality, and their own words and actions, in the face of reality.
Confession of Psychological Warfare. On December 1, 2011, when Dr. Catherine Killeen testified under oath, during her 80 pages of false swearing regarding Mr. Stengel, on pages 54 to 55, Dr. Killeen makes the following statement.
So what happens when somebody's being kind of spoon-fed or force-fed a worldview that doesn't really match with their experiences is that you're undermining their sense of reality. And that, to me, is the most damaging of all. Because if I can't trust my judgment about what's real and what's not real, I am in big trouble. I don't know what people to trust. I don't know what institutions to trust. It undermines any sense of self-integrity, self-confidence. It's a very, very devastating condition, and it sets up...
And would it be more so at Alex's particular age?
On December 1, 2011, 11 months after the experts began, Dr. Catherine Killeen testifies under oath. Called on by Leon W. Berg, best interest attorney for the children, their combined bills exceed $112,000, where Dr. Killeen provides 80 pages of false testimony regarding Mr. Stengel and the children, ending on page 96. Dr. Killeen refused to provide her contractually obligated report for third-party outside review. Instead, the judge is forced to rely on verbal testimony to decide custody, and was only provided this one section regarding Miss Siliski, and known as the paragraph.
I think Mr. Stengel's he's got some real tough work ahead of him. I'm not trying to paint Miss Stengel as perfect by a long shot. I think she's got her difficulties, she's got her issues. I think she has taken on to address some of them in a responsible way. And I think she's also had to just sort of, live a little bit of a bunker mentality, because you can see the amount of material that's come down in this case. And I'm not personally involved, and there have been many a day where I have just felt overwhelmed. So I can't imagine that a reasonable person, including the kids, would feel overwhelmed. That's the end of my testimony.
Kathleen G. Cox received this series number 1, episode number 1 presentation, along with episodes number 2 through number 7. All 7 provided in August/September 2015. Just months prior to her 100% illegal and self-serving First Amendment scam and fraud ruling, thereby keeping all those abused, conned and manipulated, remain in their oppressed states of delusion. The alienation game. Use them. Abuse them. Alienate them. If your paid job is to protect children and or the public, you will be famous for all of the crimes, and for your efforts to have Mr. Stengel put in prison, for what turns out to be doing your jobs. Protecting the public by informing the victims and others.
How much is just one memory worth? How much is just one missed memory worth?
Can't
you end up in prison.
Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. May 21, 2014. Jill P. Savage. Assistant State's Attorney for Baltimore County. Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. 3. Susan Sileski. 4. Mark Dickel, Baltimore County Sheriff's Office. 5. Family Violence Representative. Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
November the 15th, 2011, protective order filing. Miss Sileski's second fraudulent protective order filing. Or, was it November the 16th? Working development research stage. Agreement. Pause to read. Minimum age of 18 required. What else can they blatantly ignore? Already 10 months into this charade for Mr. Leon W. Berg and Dr. Catherine Killeen, and just 2 weeks before the December 1, 2011, custody hearing, where Mr. Stengel would be representing himself, pro se, since his then, and again, out again alleged attorney Robert Lazaro, past president of the Bar Association, and president during this timeline, bailed multiple times, in sync with his obvious partnerships and agenda with opposing sides. See Lazaro's confession letter, of July 9, 2012. Note, we will skip over many events, as we try to stay focused on this particular second fraudulent protective order filing, even skipping over many things related to this filing as well, as there are so many, and this is but the summary of this small presentation. November 29, 2010. Ms. Sileski's first fraudulent protective order filing. December 7, 2010. Protective order trial. Miss Sileski loses the case. December 15, 2010. Mr. Bradford G. Waikani gets involved. Very involved. January 6, 2011. Mr. Leon W. Berg, the alleged best interest attorney for the minor children, begins. January 7, 2011. Dr. Catherine Killeen, the child custody evaluator, also assigned by court order, to complete a full and extensive psychological tests on both parents, begins. November 15, 2011. Almost a full year later. Second emergency protective order filed by Miss Sileski. This one in cooperation with Team Fraud. Things to notice, besides repeated perjury. 1. The more time that goes by, and the new and improved false allegations are spewed, the worse Mr. Stengel, as a person, becomes. Manufacturing 101. 2. Mr. Leon W. Berg, best interest attorney, Fraudberg, is nowhere to be found. He consistently colluded with Miss Sileski, Miss Sileski's attorney, Bradford G. Waikani and Dr. Catherine Killeen, against his minor clients' obvious best interests. 3. And, not to disappoint, nothing ever matches. Due to Judge Kathleen Cox's inability to do her job on November 29, 2010, nearly 1 year earlier, all victims be damned. Throughout, we will show just a couple examples of evidence of some of the false allegations. More important than the allegations being false, are the fact they are all knowingly false. Therefore, done so with malice and very bad intentions. This section is large, yet still only contains the summary with some examples, as the evidence of each false allegation goes 3, 4, and some 8+ deep. Look at them as puzzle pieces. And puzzles inside of puzzles. That alone would take hours, just for this one filing. Not all the false testimony provided on the stand under oath the following week, just this one filing, provided under oath, and the reason they all needed to hoodwink, con, and abuse so many people, organizations, and the like. Why do they all hate Mr. Stengel so much, and are steadfast on having him put in prison? Because Mr. Stengel cracked the code. The code of psychosis, which permeates throughout society, at an estimated rate of 1 in 25 people. The largest closet of all. A closet, which until now, was completely hidden. Quite frankly, the concept alone is unimaginable, let alone the actions. The reason Mr. Stengel has coined so many phrases, as he attempts to shed light on this very deep and dark underground secret, such as, imagine the unimaginable, the very reason for almost all of the problems in society. Surely you have heard of trickle-down economics. Try for a moment to look at the problems throughout the world as trickle-down psychotics. The reason people like Bill Gates, with all of his billions and very good intentions, will never put so much as a dent in the overall picture. Mr. Gates simply doesn't know. After all, how could he? When the top experts in this very field haven't a clue. Why? Because it's unimaginable. The reason: the main requirements for life itself, food and water, have been compromised. Anyone with a problem with what Mr. Stengel says or provides should be red flags waving and alarm bells ringing, hitting a nerve which otherwise would simply be one man's opinion. So, let's take a ride on their delusional trolley. Page number 1 of sworn filing. A.
Estranged, abusive spouse.
B.
On Thursday, December 9th, 2010, he sent me for an emergency psych evaluation.
B1.
The results came back.
Note: results while waiting. Huh? Note: later on, those psych evaluation documents were subpoenaed. The provided documents are missing 17 pages. Surprise! B2.
I was referred to the domestic violence counselor.
Note: played the victim. Surprise! Don't miss the dissecting of that. B3.
And then, Hannah.
Note: bottom line.
I am the victim.
Easy con. Next. C.
From the time I married Mark, he was an abusive man.
Note: married in 2000. What's Miss Silisky selling now?
Not sure if I should buy this one. Rumor floating, a newer model is coming out in 5 months.
5 months later, on April the 12th, 2012, at the appeal trial required due to their collective and constant fraud, Miss Silisky testifies under oath on page number 9.
Okay. Now, that was before you got the protective order in the district court?
Yes, it was.
You indicated in your application for the protective order that you have experienced a whole series of acts of abuse over the years.
Yes.
Did you not?
Mm-hmm.
When did the abuse start? Objection.
About 5 years ago.
Therefore, on November the 15th, 2011, Mr. Stengel was abusive since married in 2000. 5 months later, on April the 12th, 2012, the abuse is now 5 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in this one instance, it appears Mr. Stengel is improving. Or, we can go with this.
I'm kind of screwed in this way because you haven't physically hurt me. I'm kind of screwed in this way because you haven't physically hurt me.
Invoice number 45943, dated September 7th of 2011, contains an entry for watching the Truth About Susie video. There should be no video. No one should be watching the video.
They are all so desperate, they were even ignoring the extremely valuable and directly related sworn testimony of an NSA employee.
Glad I waited. This model is only 5 years old.
D.
He was sued on our honeymoon for $300 million, for fraud.
E.
He had been operating under an alias.
F.
He would send abusive emails.
G.
And would wake me up in the middle of the night, to mentally torture me, and then leave the bedroom.
Note: 1. Torturing could be exhausting. 2. Did she want him to stay and torture her more? 3. Which is the complaint? H.
He would force me to have sex, and I didn't want to, and then leave the room.
Note: rape. Really? He left the room again. Again, which is the complaint?
You give me more than months. Months! And the other day you told me, I don't even know how long ago it was, you told me you're done with sex, and...
Once I left the house, after 5 police officers had been called to our house.
Note: really? In Mr. Stengel's research, it's called Allegations Equals Confessions. Because the video shows Miss Silisky stealing Mr. Stengel's cell phone, caught on tape, and leaving the home. Then, lied to Officer Bell about having the phone, and refused Officer Bell asking her to come home. Then, 2 hours later, it was Miss Silisky who brought 5 police officers to the house, saying Mr. Stengel is a violent drug addict. Or, we can go with her sworn statement. Or, count the puzzle pieces, just from that one false statement. And, that's not all the puzzle pieces. I won.
Because he was trying to say I was crazy.
Note: really? J.
They suggested I get a protective order.
Note, really. Because we heard them say it was a communication problem. Fact, Officer Bell suggested that to Mr. Stengel, the first time there. Second time was with 5 police. Third time it's mentioned, to both. Reality. 1. Miss Silisky steals the cell phone. 2. Lies to Officer Bell about the theft. 3. Refuses to come home on Officer Bell's request. 4. 2 hours later, Miss Silisky becomes the victim. 5. The victim goes to the police station. 6. Lies to the police again. Harasses and lies to many police. 7. The victim brings 5 police officers to the home. After all, it's not every story that would have the department send 5 police officers. Danger, danger, danger.
And this is a communication problem. We can't fix a communication problem. You don't ever get it. And that's all I'm saying. It's probably headed to more to
Fact 2. What they did was contact the mobile crisis unit regarding Miss Silisky. K.
He had installed 23 cameras.
Note, false, like everything. See December the 14th, 2010, 7:05 p.m. email, hoodwinking and conning, Sherelle Flowers, boys Latin school counselor, and the Weinbergs, where Miss Silisky also falsely wrote.
Then I found 18 plus hidden cameras.
Also false. 2 weeks after Miss Silisky's first fraudulent order, she wasn't sure. 18 plus. Almost a year later, and she has an exact number. Like everything else, Mr. Stengel, in their stories, becomes worse with time. Danger. Danger. While we are here, let's look at the con. It's rather quick. December the 14th, 2010, at 7:20 a.m. Email from Miss Silisky, to Mr. Stengel, only. Where she writes,
I have internet again, and you can email me here.
A mere 12 hours later, at 7:05 p.m., Miss Silisky stages yet another event by sending out an email to Mr. Stengel and copies to Kelly Weinberg, Andy Weinberg and Sherelle Flowers, Boys Latin lower school counselor. Where she begins.
Seriously, Mark, I haven't responded to your series of malicious and hurtful emails over the past week because this is another con job. And Boys Latin School is on the top of our list.
Just 12 hours earlier. And, to Mr. Stengel, only.
I have internet again, and you can email me here.
The dissecting of this one email is very long. Partially dissected, it has 31 points, containing either false or psychotic statements. Such as November 29, 2010, Miss Silisky files her first fraudulent protective order. 8 days later, on December the 7th, 2010, Miss Silisky's case is dismissed at trial. The following day, on December the 8th, 2010, Miss Silisky kidnaps Alex, where he is held with Maya, at the Weinberg compound. 10 days later, on December the 18th, 2010, Alex escapes what he calls prison.
Day December 18th. The day I finally broke out of prison.
Yet, a mere 4 days prior, on December the 14th, 2010, comes Miss Silisky's con and scam email, where she states,
This has been the best experience for Alex, and I am thrilled for Alex.
Note, huh? Really? Okay, let's continue. Now, where were we? Right. There is an entire presentation called Aware of Cameras. However, let's look at just one sample. At a trial, to extend this fraud, and almost a full year later, on October the 25th, 2012, Mr. Carney, the proclaimed officer of the court, after his crime ring turns it into a kangaroo. Court says,
What exactly, what do you all have, like a video recorder in your house?
I did, Your Honor, yes.
He has 32 surveillance videos throughout the entire house, so repetitiously videotaped everybody and everything that came in their house without their permission
That's a
or knowledge. What exactly, what do you all have, like a video recorder in your house?
I did, Your Honor, yes.
He has 32 surveillance videos throughout the entire house, so repetitiously videotaped everybody and everything that came in their house without their permission or knowledge.
Besides, with all the sworn to under oath abuses at the hands of Mr. Stengel and suborned by Mr. Bradford G. Carney, surely Miss Silisky would want cameras there. Correct? Surely, at least one of the cameras caught at least one of these abuses. Correct? So, what's the problem with the cameras, Mr. Carney? Now, having seen just one video clip from September the 16th, 2010, from the so-called hidden camera, here is a snapshot taken November the 3rd, 2010, nearly a month prior to Miss Silisky's first fraudulent filing, all provided to Mr. Bradford G. Carney, as he, himself, throughout, and nearly 2 years later, commits crime after crime after crime, even bullies others to provide false testimony, under oath, all with foreknowledge and malice. K1.
In our 2,500 square foot home.
L.
Most of which were hidden.
Note, really. Taken on March the 25th, 2010. 8 months prior to Miss Silisky's first fraudulent protective order on November the 29th, 2010, where she hoodwinked Kathleen Cox. Note, there is more. There is always more. This photo was taken by Miss Silisky herself, with her own camera. Surprise! Now we have the specifics. Let's look at Miss Silisky's sworn testimony, specifically regarding this camera. November the 29th, 2010. Transcript. 25.
Along with, in the office facing my son who plays Xbox. It was literally on the shelf, facing the chair.
Along with the years of repeated frauds, and still going. Besides, that's literally not a shelf. It's literally called a desk. Besides, the federal crime of computer hacking, caught on tape, we have yet another computer hacker's photo, from that very camera, as well. To make things even more egregious, Miss Silisky, and Mr. Bradford G. Carney, refused to provide any, of the multiple computer hackers' information. And, Robert Wayne Lazaro, Leon W. Berg, Dr. Catherine Killeen, along with Scott D. Schellenberger, all, refused to obtain that information. Mr. Stengel had the same issue with a detective at the Franklin precinct. Welcome to the Wild West. Go Maryland. Go! And this alleged hidden camera photo, also provided to Mr. Carney, and the others. Photo even shows its power cord. This photo on right, taken back on August the 6th, 2010. However, there are no pictures or video from that camera after November the 27th, 2010, at 9:17 a.m. Why? Well, you can ask Mr. Leon W. Berg, or the others. Or the basement one, taken on September the 20th, 2010, where Miss Silisky ran her Creative Memories business from, which Mr. Carney later filed her zero income statements, under oath, twice. Miss Silisky swears under oath she was only aware of the laundry room camera. When shown these basement photos, she states she thought it was a motion sensor, even though there is a motion sensor right next to it. Really? And the basement camera is the identical make and model of the laundry room camera, which sits alone. Better yet, Judge this Judith Cienza, after seeing all of these photos and hearing this obvious perjury, agrees Miss Silisky was only aware of the laundry room camera.
And it leads to the camera.
No, that.
No, because my yelling is from frustration.
No. Yeah, I think, well, I don't know.
Frustration and resentment. Frustration and resentment.
As Miss Silisky is seen here, yet again, caught on tape, pointing to the camera in the kitchen. Although there 4 months, you will even notice Miss Silisky's calendar changes. Here we see Miss Silisky, on November the 3rd, 2010. A month before staging yet another scam event, hoodwinking and conning Catherine Barrison, who just so happened to find the very camera right after Miss Silisky's first fraudulent protective order filing. Surprise!
And it leads to the camera. And it leads to the camera.
Where else did you find them?
They were on top of kitchen cabinets, behind baskets and boxes that you couldn't, I didn't even notice until a friend of mine noticed it.
Miss Silisky, staging yet another scam event, hoodwinking and conning Catherine Barrison, who just so happened to find that very camera, wink, wink. However, what good would that do unless Mr. Carney can, knowingly, and with foreknowledge and malice, harass everyone, do his own hoodwinking, conning, and possibly prepare them for perjury. And, Bill, baby, Bill. Before we forget, Mr. Michael Barrison, Catherine's husband, told Mr. Stengel, Mr. Carney was pressuring him to lie on the stand. It's obviously his business model. And the firm that profits from it all, Royston, Mueller, McLean and Reed, LLP. Well, that's obvious, as well. And, if we go to the spread the fraud sheets bills, at the top, number 27. And a full year later, as Mr. Carney does, what he always does, Mr. Carney's bill notes.
November 29, 2011, call from witness Catherine Barrison, regarding hearing.
0.10 hours, $437.50. Note, they went on a witness tour. Harass, abuse, bully, con, then alienate. November 23, 2011 trial is known as the altered evidence trial. 6 days later, Mr. Stengel brought originals and the presented altered evidence to the state's attorney. And 4.5 months after that trial, and 1.5 years after this.
And it leads to the camera. And it leads to the camera.
Your Honor, this one is on a cabinet that my friend Catherine Barrison found. I did not know it was there. It was hidden. She found it.
Now, let's listen to that entire page.
These pictures that were introduced into evidence as exhibit number 15, I think you said one of them you were aware that there was a camera in the laundry room. Maybe this picture?
Yes.
Did you know about that?
Yes.
Did you know about any other pictures, other cameras rather, that are depicted in these pictures?
Not until the weekend before Thanksgiving, when I realized I was being videotaped and recorded, did I start taking notice of things. I don't even know what this one is.
Did you help wire and install these cameras that Scott Stengel has just
Your Honor,
testified?
this one is on a cabinet that my friend Catherine Barrison found. I did not know it was there. It was hidden. She found it.
Yes or no?
No.
Another 6.5 months after that last charade, we are again reminded.
What exactly, what do you all have, like a video recorder in your house? I did, Your Honor, yes. He has 32 surveillance videos throughout the entire house, so repetitiously videotaped everybody and everything that came in their house without their permission. That's or knowledge.
Not until the weekend before Thanksgiving. Not until the weekend before Thanksgiving.
And it leads to the camera.
Besides, all the photos and videos proving it, like everything else, complete bullshit. Just a month earlier, on Mr. Stengel's birthday, where she conned Betsy and David R. Stryker to uproot the children, and on October the 30th, 2010, just 5 days before her pointing to the very camera in the kitchen, we have.
You know, he can see me in the house. Did you know that? What do you mean? He's got his phone, he can look and see me in the house. What, are there cameras everywhere? Yeah, he can log in and see what I'm here and what I'm doing. Where are the cameras? That's pretty weird. Huh? That's what he's done.
As you can see, how deep and wide the solid evidence Mr. Stengel has provided to these so-called experts regarding each false allegation can, and often does, go. Note, this is only a sample of the hidden cameras scam. Right, Mr. Leon W. Berg? Okay, let's move on. M.
Recording my private conversations at therapy sessions.
Note, who did? N.
I started to realize he was stalking me in my car.
Note, really? N1.
On my phone.
N2.
In my computers.
Note, plural. How many computers does Ms. Zero Income have? N3.
Everywhere.
Oh.
He was starting to send video clips from his hidden cameras.
Note, surely, the video clips would confirm many of these allegations. How about just one allegation? P.
He had their email addresses. He had pulled them from my Facebook email, phone address book and elsewhere.
Note, or from her hard drive backup, loaded with many years of her crimes, and the reason the hacker was there.
Now, you're not in trouble for getting into his account, are you? Because I would crack his password for you to do this.
Q.
He started sending me threatening and scary emails.
Note, reality can be scary for some personality types. R.
Our consent order, see attached, specifically tells him not to send these emails.
Note, why would anyone do that? S.
But rules don't apply to him.
Really? Because psychologists call this projection. However, Mr. Stengel refers to it as allegations equals confessions. T.
He has been kicked out of several public places.
Note, really? Danger, danger. U.
Such as my daughter's former school, Garrison Forest.
Note, huh? V.
Told by the headmaster at Boys Latin School, he would be trespassing if he came back on campus.
Note, yet he picked up his son from school. R. Christopher Post. W.
This was because he was physically and verbally abusive to my daughter and me.
Note, so that's what she told Mr. Post, who did not even ask Mr. Stengel his side of the story. But really because
they think you're psychic. They think you're crazy, okay? They know you're crazy. They've been listening to the stories that I've been telling them. They know you're nuts.
X.
In front of hundreds of children and adults, on Saturday, October 15.
Note, hundreds. Plural. Besides, that's not what Alison Meister Friedman swore to. Why?
He was also kicked out of Rice Town baseball and basketball coaching, 2009 to 2011.
Note, if that's 2009 plus 2011, did they let him back, then kick him out again? Either way. Z.
Which was after he sent abusive and disparaging emails to the commissioner.
Note, emails. Plural. Which year or years does this apply? Besides, below it notes, of each league. AA.
I believe he keyed my car.
Note, I believe. AA1.
After I received full legal custody, pendente light, for educational decisions.
Note, via Dr. Fraudline. Fact, Miss Sileski said that Amy Sullivan, a substitute teacher, and friend/tool of Miss Sileski's, had seen Mr. Stengel key her car. Really? It gets better. We know Miss Sileski non-stop disparages Mr. Stengel to the children. Just weeks later, on that Thanksgiving, they happened to go to the Sullivans' home. Alex advised his father that, during that time, Alex, asked Amy about it, in front of his mother. Alex reported, his mother denied saying that. Up until that moment, Miss Sileski had a witness, named Amy Sullivan. AB.
I've had 5 flat tires since May, 2011.
Note, really? Even the spare tire. 5? Not 5, 6, 7 or 8, like the forever changing number of times Miss Sileski says she was mugged. Let's have fun with 5 tires. In court, Miss Sileski swore they were punctured. Remember the covert email sent from Annie Vautour to 80 people regarding her closing that email account scam? We provided some headers with dates beyond that covert email, From another account, she continued mailing Mr. Stengel from SusieStengel@me.com. Here is yet another header. This one in June 2011. Email is 5 months before November the 15th, 2011 filing. Now, let's look at the rest of this header. From Susie Siliski, SusieStengel@me.com. Sent, Saturday, June the 4th, 2011, at 3:16 p.m. To Mark Stengel. CC, Brad Carney. Subject:
Tire information from my files. Mark. As you know, I had to purchase 4 tires in September 2010, from a company that Honda Man recommended. I need the invoice, as the tires are dry rotted, and I have already had one, flat tire, while I was in Paris, that Uncle Fred replaced, and now I have a second one. I need to get the paperwork today/tomorrow, so I can have them replace these tires without charging me. The files are in the Toyota folder. Please scan and send the paperwork to me today, or tomorrow at the latest. It would be best if I could come get the remainder of my things from the house. Thank you. Susie Sileski.
Surely, Miss Siliski is not putting this in the protective order filing as dry rotted. Remember, in court she testified they were punctured, and since May. Yet this email is after May 2011. We look at the spread the fraud sheet bills. Mr. Carney's bill notes.
June 3, 2011, BGC, read email from Susie to Mark regarding need for new tires and need for paperwork.
Billed 0.10 hours, $437.50. Note, no mention of punctured tires. Mr. Carney himself is well aware of this reality, yet repeatedly suborns perjury. Just for the heck of it, we look at Mr. Carney's actual bill. As you can see, like all the entries in the spread the fraud sheets, they match the actual bills. 1. Miss Seleski's second fraudulent protective order filing. 2. Trial held on November the 23rd, 2011. Known as the Altered Evidence Trial. 3. Alison Meister Friedman commits perjury. 4. Where custody for Mr. Stengel and his children go from 50-50 to only 1.5 days every 2 weeks. 5. Mr. Stengel appeals the November 23, 2011, Altered Evidence Trial, which spawned from this very fraud filing, on November the 15th, 2011. 6. On April the 12th, 2012, at the appeal trial, we have Mr. Bradford G. Y. Carney, from Royston, Mueller, McLean and Reed, LLP, questioning Miss Siliski, under oath.
Your automobile, what do you drive?
I drive a 2007 Toyota Sienna.
Since you have been separated from Mr. Stengel, so we're talking about from December of 2010 to date, have you had any flat tires in the car?
6.
6 flat tires?
6.
In that time frame, and
in 5 months.
As you can see, Mr. Carney is well aware of the following. 1. Miss Seleski's email says dry rotted, and only 1, then 2. 2. It notes, while in France, that's Miss Zero Income's French tour business she was on. 3. The trip was in April 2011, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is before May, as just testified. 4. Mr. Carney's own bills mention nothing about punctured tires. 5. Miss Seleski's fraud filing swears it was 5 tires. 6. Miss Siliski, on April the 12th, 2012, swears it was 6 tires. We have 1, 2, 5 and 6 tires. Spin the psychotic and evil fraud wheel. Note, all the noted actions are like this. Nothing ever matches, and like this one, more often than not, they are multiple pieces of evidence, backing up each fraudulent action noted by Mr. Stengel, and provided to these so-called experts. Miss Seleski's van, she just spoke of, has been free and clear of debt, thanks to Melissa Lita's $30,000 stolen insurance policy. Note, the loan noted on the line below is for her father's home, she obtained via illegally executing his power of attorney, and illegally executing his will. That loan is not for monies borrowed to live on. Although the letter asking about her tires receipt was on June the 4th, 2011, let's add some more reality. Yes, there is always more. An arrangement was made by Bradford G. Y. Carney for Miss Siliski to pick up her files on January the 3rd, 2011. Mr. Stengel had them ready and waiting. However, Miss Siliski refused to take them. There are more photos, as we skip some, however, this will provide enough. That goes beyond that very email dated June the 4th, 2011. Waiting. January the 4th, 2011. Waiting. January the 10th, 2011. Waiting. January the 22nd, 2011. Waiting. February the 18th, 2011. Waiting. February the 25th, 2011. Waiting. June the 16th, 2011. Waiting. Yes, there is more. There is always more. On Monday, January the 3rd, 2011 at 3:21 p.m., Mr. Stengel wrote, "Hello, the boxes you urgently needed are ready and have been since 2 p.m. I put them in the smaller bankers' boxes so they would not be too heavy for anyone to carry. My back is killing me from these files, the bending over, etc. It was not such a good thing having to go through all of these files in such a short time frame. Since you created this urgency, to the point where you were going to break into my house, I made sure they were all ready to go for your 2 p.m. pickup today. It's now 3:17, and the boxes are still waiting at the side door for you. My back does not thank you at the moment, or probably for quite some time. Mark."
From Susie Selesky, onivitafrance@gmail.com. Sent, Monday, January 3rd, 2011, at 6:58 p.m. To Mark Stengel. Subject, regarding, your urgent files, are waiting patiently. Who organized a 2 p.m. pickup? The lawyers? I was in a seminar all day. Susie.
Apparently, Ms. Zero Income's seminar lasted quite long. Until nearly 2 years later, where Mr. Carney and Miss Selesky drum up more fraud and bullshit. And on November the 29th, 2012, on page number 82, Miss Selesky swears,
I can't tell you which ones without looking at my checkbook. And unfortunately, the Selesky marketing information was held hostage at Birch Lane. I still don't have access to it. He wouldn't give me my files back.
And, later on, Judge Judith Cienza threatens Mr. Stengel regarding these very files, long after having been provided those photos. Okay, let's continue. Otherwise, almost everything including this, has many other frauds and abuses, connected, in so many ways. Remember, imagine, the unimaginable. AC.
He tried to enter my gated apartment complex at 1:32 a.m., and bringing balloons to my 9-year-old.
Note, see how in the world, Maya's birthday scam presentation. AD.
The attached 2 emails.
Note, not. They needed time to alter them. Watch and learn how criminals do what they do. This is the original email Mr. Stengel sent to Miss Selesky. You will notice the timestamp at the top. Notes November the 16th, 2011, at 2:48 p.m. This is the evidence of that email number 2, provided by Miss Selesky and Bradford G.Y. Carney, on November the 23rd, 2011, at trial. You will notice, when an email is forwarded, it retains the timestamp. The timestamps are always retained. However, Mr. Stengel's email is missing the timestamp. Why? Because Miss Selesky's court filing noted that the top right is dated November the 16th, 2011, at 9:25 a.m. That's 5 hours and 23 minutes before Mr. Stengel's email on November the 16th, at 2:48 p.m., making it impossible for Miss Selesky to have included this email with her filing, as she stated and swore to, in her filing. And the very reason the timestamp was intentionally removed, then provided at the November 23rd, 2011, trial as evidence. 81.
Both threaten my life. One says kill.
Note, really. Note.
Both threaten my life.
Let's read that very email, shall we? From Mark Stengel. Date, Wednesday, November the 16th, 2011, at 2:48 p.m. Subject, are you done yet? To Susie Selesky, Silesky2011@gmail.com. Hello, how much more punishment do you plan on putting Alex and Maya through? My guess is, you are probably looking at another $200,000 in legal fees, which includes things you are not aware of yet. Your attorneys are laughing, I assure you. If that $170 Eisenberg bill, followed by that 2-page letter by your attorney, didn't raise your red flag, then nothing will. There were a few times that the attorney said to me, it will cost more to have him talk about it, than it is worth. If there is one thing I have learned about you in the last 12 years, it is that you will go down in flames. What have I learned in the last year? You will take your kids with you. There is only one way out for you. A way to get a fresh start in life. Do you know what Alex said to me the other day? Listen to this very closely, as it came from your year-old son, who is not only very bright, but very perceptive. He said that you are now trying to convince yourself of all the lies about me. I asked him what he meant by that. He said, before you were always trying to convince other people of the lies about me, and now you are trying to convince yourself. Then he gave me an example. Why is that important for you to read over and over again? Because you can't in any way have that relate to me, my brainwashing him as you think, etc. Just his observation of you over the last year. What do you think he will think when he is a bit older? You think I am talking about you in this, but what upsets me is that it is his mother he is talking about. I know you did not grow up with a mother, per se, but I did, and Alex and Maya deserve to. Do the right thing. Forget about everyone else except Alex and Maya. That includes your mother, who thrives on this happening to them. As long as she has more time with you. Get a grip. Mark. B.S. Only sent to you for a reason.
It was the father's communications with the children that required the supervision.
Really, Mr. Liam W. Berg? The father's communication with the children about their mother? Really? And your communication with the children about their father, Mr. Berg?
Mr. Bug. Mr. Liam W. Bug.
Note: 1. Miss Silisky disparages the children's father to everyone. 2. Also obvious, it's always done in the presence of the children. 3. Mr. Liam W. Berg. Doesn't the letter say the opposite? Mr. Stengel is upset that Miss Silisky's actions have his children think badly about their mother, which is not good for his children. AE.
I am afraid he is spiraling out of control.
Note: who is AE1?
I am truly afraid for my safety.
Note: opposed to falsely. AE2.
And my children's safety.
Note: Ms. Silisky took both children to the R-strikers/witnesses to stay. She left them there for the night. Told both children their father was going to murder them both, and their mother. AF.
He shows illicit videos to my children.
Note: still with the videos. AG.
Often under duress, and against their will.
Note: now tortures children. AG1.
He has mentally tortured and abused the kids.
Note: told you. AH.
He has stalked me in his car. Videotaping me.
Note: back to stalking. AH1.
It was scary that he was following me.
Note: surely she called the police. No. AI.
He hacked into my credit card.
Note: federal crime. Surely she called the police with that. No. The bank. AJ.
The person/persons I want protected now lives, or has lived, with the respondent for the following period of time during the past year.
Answer:
none.
Note: really? Who were the kids living with 50% of the time until this fraud? AK.
There are not additional persons living in the home.
Note: checked. AL.
Other cases involving these persons. December 1st, 2010. Pendant light.
Note: December the 1st, 2010. Pendant light. Reality: that was coming up, not in 2010. Slip and slime move. AL1.
Custody, 2010.
Note: false. Again, it was coming up in 2 weeks. 2011. Slip and slime. AL2.
Domestic violence. Dismissed.
Note: truth. But tell the judge why.
If at fraud you don't succeed, try again and again and again.
AM.
May 21st, 2010, altercation at my car/driver's side, that resulted in large bruise on upper left arm.
Note: there is an entire presentation. False bruise fiasco. AN.
Access to unregistered handgun.
Note: still with the fear of gun bullshit. Danger, danger, danger. Unregistered. Really? Did he get it from Lefty in the alleyway? Lefty, the one-armed gun smuggling bandit. AO.
Which the one he owned, is now with the Baltimore County Police until further notice.
Note: due to Miss Silisky's first fraudulent protective order, a year earlier, Mr. Stengel left it there, so not to give reason to any fear of gun bullshit. AP.
He likely has another one.
Note: so much for that theory. Fear of gun bullshit. AQ.
Not to abuse, or threaten to abuse, Susie Silisky Stengel.
Note:
checked.
AR.
Not to contact, attempt to contact, harass, Susie Silisky Stengel.
Note:
checked.
AS.
Not to go to the residence, S, at Susie Silisky Stengel.
Note.
Checked.
AT.
Not to go to the schools, West Towson Elementary. Boys Latin.
Note.
Checked.
Fact, now, wrongfully involves Maya's new school. AU.
Not to go to the workplace at Mount Vernon Realty.
Note.
Checked.
Fact, Ms. Zero Income. AV.
He hacked into my personal credit card account.
Note, again with the credit card. AW.
And altered my push notifications.
Note, where is she going with this? AX.
And actually adds his former attorney's contact information.
Note, and added it to an email she was writing while she was writing it. AY.
He has been fired by 2 attorneys. Chris Nicholson and Bob Lazaro.
Note, really. AZ.
I am fearful. See kill emails.
Note, again. The not attached ones. See them after, Miss Siliski and Mr. Carney alter them. Fact, 5 months later. Ms. Siliski April the 12th 2012, appeal trial, along with Mr. Carney, continued their criminal acts.
Now, in your application you said, quote, the attached 2 emails both threaten my life. What other email were you referring to, which incidentally were not attached to the application?
I gave them to the commissioner. I gave them to the commissioner. I gave them to the commissioner.
AAA.
For my safety with his implied threats.
Note, and the children's safety. AAB.
And his obvious lack of respect for boundaries and court orders.
Note, like the dozens of emails Miss Siliski blasted out, in contempt. One the morning after signing the very December the 22nd, 2010 order. The very day after, the December 22nd, 2010, consent order, Miss Siliski is already in contempt of that order. Things of interest. 1. The day after, Miss Siliski and Bradford Carney, along with the consent order, filed her first zero income statement. The email is from amivators.com. 2. Mr. Stengel received this contempt email from those he was forced to subpoena. 3. Email blasted out to many. 4. The email repeatedly disparages Mr. Stengel. This is only the top portion. 5. Miss Siliski states,
this is my secure email address, so please do not share this information, or email address, with anyone else, or forward in any way.
Translated, do not do what she does to you and everyone else. We stopped counting after dozens of her contemptuous emails. Class, are you enjoying all of the confessions? Via, allegations equals confessions, of course. AAC.
To turn over firearms.
Note.
Unchecked.
Besides, what happened to AP?
He likely has another one.
Note, so much for that theory. Fear of gun bullshit.
AAD.
Go to counseling.
Note.
Checked.
AAE.
For domestic violence.
Note.
Checked.
AAF.
Counseling for drug and alcohol.
Note.
Checked.
The best interest attorney assured Mr. Levy that this is not a case where there was concern that dad would show up under the influence of alcohol.
AAG.
To pay money.
Note.
Unchecked.
Note, except for the insane amount of fraudulent legal bills. AAH.
Custody of Alex and Maya.
Note.
Unchecked.
AAI.
The respondent has the following financial resources, income from employment in the amount of.
Note.
Question mark.
AAJ.
Bank accounts.
Note.
Question mark.
AAK.
Commercial property, $1.2 million.
AAL.
I solemnly affirm under the penalties of perjury that the contents of the foregoing petition are true to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief.
Note, that whatever clause. AAM.
Dated, November 15, 2011.
Note, yet the court stamp is the 16th. AAN.
Ms. Silski's signature.
Note, fraud. This was on a Tuesday. Mr. Stengel was unaware of the second fraudulent protective order until the following day, Wednesday, when he went to pick up his children from school. Boys Latin School, and Maya's new school, West Towson Elementary, asked Mr. Stengel to leave their premises. Note, Ms. Siliski took the children to the R-Strikers to sleep on Tuesday night, telling the children their father was going to murder them and their mother. However, on Wednesday, when Mr. Stengel found out about this fraud scam, the children slept at Miss Siliski's. Betsy and David R. Stryker, a T. Rowe Price executive, continually assisted in abusing the children. Apparently, this T. Rowe Price executive has options many are not familiar with. And like the cameras, alienated from all realities. Besides, what mother would leave her own children? One that spends years conning, psychologically raping, and bitch slapping the R-strikers, and so many others, even keeping her dozens of confessions all secret. Such as 2 years after her first fraudulent protective order, and 1 year after this second fraudulent protective order. And on November the 29th, 2012, page number 122, comes this.
I'll follow up with one simple question and we can go into another subject. The point in time that you left Alex, Mr. Stengel, were you concerned for Alex and his safety?
No, I was concerned for me.
Okay.
Intentional. If it was something I said or did or didn't do, I have no idea how we got where we are. I have no idea or memory of it.
Catching a thing, you asked me a question. I said to you, I cannot and will not continue to do what I've been doing for 10 years because it doesn't feel right to me. It doesnn't feel like a full marriage to me. It doesn't feel, like when Sarah says to me, okay, and there's no perfect way, okay, like Sarah Blattner's way would piss me off too. For example, she says, well, they've been together forever, since high school, really, but when they, since they were 20-something. She said, everything is converged. She says, but she has no control over it. Mark controls every piece of their finances. He moves money around like the shell game. He orders their credit cards. He closes credit cards on her. She'll be at a store and it'll be closed, and she won't even know, and he will open a new one to say, oh, I want to have frequent flyer miles on Continental, and he won't even discuss it with her, and so he does those things, okay? It makes her nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wouldn't work for me either. I want a partnership with somebody who's going to partner.
What partner do you? What does partner mean?
Make decisions together, discuss it before it happens, even if you don't like the outcome. Work towards a common goal. I mean,
But besides that,
now there's nothing more besides that.
I don't know how you get.
That is, to me, the core fundamental problem for me personally, Susie Stengel.
I don't discuss purchases with you.
You don't.
That's your core fundamental problem about all this stuff.
No. You took one tiny piece out of that entire thing.
Tell me.
You took.
I want to know.
Discussing purchases. I'm also talking about discussing. I'm talking everything. Discussing education. Discussing where we live. Discussing renovations in the house. Discussing core purchases. Discussing how we're paying bills. Like when it came to health insurance and me doing all this investigation and us working together. We worked together on creating a lesser plan for the health insurance. That to me was good. That was great.
Mr. Leon W. Berg responds to Mr. Stengel's complaint to the Attorney Grievance Commission of Maryland. Mr. Berg's 50-page response is simply confessions. Not only does Mr. Berg not consider Ms. Sileski's crimes misconduct or dishonest reality, Mr. Berg disparages Mr. Stengel for providing them. Wearing many masks, as Mr. Berg does, he repeats the same nonsense. Mr. Berg, like the others, do not answer the questions asked. After all, how could they? Instead, redirects focus, a trait repeated with these personality types, then attacks with more falsities. Here are some of Mr. Berg's responses to questions relating to Ms. Sileski's repeated, fraudulent zero-income filings, Garrison Forest School internal memos, fraudulent protective orders, and such.
Again, the recurrent theme is that Mr. Stengel presents what he considers to be evidence of his wife's misconduct or dishonesty and infers that this evidence must have been ignored by the best interest attorney.
Fact, Mr. Stengel never said Mr. Berg ignored anything. Oh. No. Mr. Leon W. Berg gave it his full attention. Even if his full attention was to ignore what was occurring every day, had Mr. Berg's full attention. All of Mr. Berg's actions, or lack of actions, were purely 100% intentional. After all, that's his job. 100% laser-focused and 100% intentional, making sure the children, aka the pawns, are never considered in regards to what even may be in their best interest. That was decided very early on. They just didn't plan on being famous. Estimated list of gotchas, or no way outs, hence the N list. November the 15th, 2011, PO filing, Chester, 59, 13, Siliski granted fraud. November the 23rd, 2011, PO trans, Ryan, 68, 286, Siliski granted fraud. Alison Friedman commits perjury.
The best interest attorney assured Mr. Levy that this is not a case where there was concern that dad would show up under the influence of alcohol, or that he would threaten physical harm. It was the father's communications with the children that required the supervision. Really, Mr.
Liam W. Berg, the father's communication with the children about their mother. Really.
Today is February 4th, and spring is coming early because the groundhog didn't see a shadow and said spring is coming early. And the things have been the same. Dad trying to talk to mom over like different things. They go out and talk to each other. But mom's really mean because Dad's ringtone is Bad to the Bone. It's like, da-da-da. It's like weird. Bad to the bone, da-da-da-da-da. I'm just bad to the bone. It's weird. And that's what's been happening. I just got to Dad's, and today is Friday, so that's what's been happening in the past couple days. But it's August 26th at 9 a.m. and if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
Note, voice is not Alex's actual voice. However, the letter dated September the 29th, 2011, is Alex's actual letter. Alex asked his father to send his letter to his mother, Mr. Berg, Dr. Kelly, and Dr. Eisenberg, which was done.
Dear Mom, right now I cannot tell you this face to face. I know who you really are. You may not like it. Punish me all you want. It is just going to make it worse. I know that bruise was fake, and you lied to a cop, a judge, and everyone else. You stole money from Dad, Scott, and me. One problem, you only fooled one Stingle. If you think this is Dad talking, it's not. I can prove it. Next time I am with you, ask me any time during then and I will tell you. I want to tell the judge about you. Ask me how I know. Also ask yourself, why did I do this? You can't fix your mistake now. I don't want to live with you anymore. I told Berg, Killeen, and Eisenberg all about you. I want to live in my home and not your home. I am sorry I have been lying to you all this time and not to Dad. Your son, Alex.
So, what did Dr. Killeen swear to, under oath on December the 1st, 2011, suborned by Mr. Liam W. Berg? And, just 1 week after the altered evidence trial, which followed the second fraudulent protective order scam. What you will hear counts as only one of the 179 actions of crimes on that day, after which Alex and Maya had zero communication with their father, now trapped with their abuser and alienated from all blood relatives, trapped by this crime ring of psychotic and very dangerous and evil beings.
He has never actually refused to go over to her house. So he has never actually refused to go over to her house. So he has never actually refused to go over to her house. So
it's August 26th at 9 a.m. and if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
You end up in prison.
Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. 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 Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
Now that you have seen a sample of what was provided to Mr. Leon W. Berg, Dr. Catherine Killeen, Judge this Judith Cienza, Judge this Kathleen G. Cox, the courts, the state of Maryland, and many others, let's again listen to some confessions. Transcript from September the 18th, 2013, where Mr. Leon W. Berg, yet again, confesses, on page number 36. Let's take a look, and listen.
The contention that I ignored information is inaccurate. Mr. Stengel, on many occasions, either mailed or dropped off in my office discs, CDs, containing multiple files, document files that he had put together, video files, photograph files, emails, other things. He sent letters to me on numerous occasions by email with numerous attachments. However, whatever was sent to me, I personally delivered to Dr. Killeen. And ironically, in most of the cases, she had gotten her copy already directly from Mr. Stengel. So when Mr. Rodo talks about all of the information that Mr. Stengel provided that I ignored.
Now, on page number 37, you will be treated to psychosis from a contractually obligated, independent investigator. You will hear Mr. Berg, within the same sentence, says he didn't ignore it, then confesses to the opposite. It begins with him contradicting Mr. Rudo. Let's listen.
I spent time talking to Dr. Killeen about many of the materials that Mr. Stengel provided. And contrary to what Mr. Rudo said, very little of my perspective on this case had much to do with what Ms. Zaleski said, or didn't say, or did, or didn't do.
Dear delusional and psychotic Mr. Leon W. Berg, if we take a quick ride on the delusional trolley where Mr. Berg feels right to go. 1. That's not contrary to what Mr. Rudo said. 2. In fact, it is exactly what Mr. Rudo said. 3. Mr. Berg argues reality, and in the process, confesses to ignoring Miss Zaleski's actions and statements as well, adding a whole new group of psychotic, unconscionable, unethical, covert, and corrupt acts. 4. Long after being provided her medical history of long-term mental illness. Although Dr. Killeen's records show a 30-minute call to Dr. Kimmel, no records were requested. 5. Besides being so concerned for the best interest of the children, and provided information that one parent has mental illness, yet 3 months go by before a call is made. Which 6. Obviously confirmed the information Mr. Stengel provided months prior, and was not what they were looking for. 7. At the same time, Mr. Berg commits multiple counts of perjury, as he knowingly refuses to provide any truths, therefore making each statement false swearing, and more, fraud upon the court. As the trat in this research, even if Mr. Berg was correct, and he didn't ignore what was provided, better yet, even if Mr. Berg was only provided the sampling on this DVD, apparently Mr. Berg is not qualified to represent minor children, or practice law. Period. With thousands just like this, try to find even one thing they did in the children's best interest, or are truthful about. Good luck.
My view of the case was based upon the advice given to me by my expert witness, my court-appointed expert witness, who together with me interviewed teachers, who together with me reviewed various records, who took psychological tests of the parties, who took psychological tests of the parties, who took psychological tests of the parties.
Did Mr. Robert Wayne Lazaro, aka The Mole, ever ask for the results of those tests? Mr. Leon W. Berg, Dr. Catherine Killeen, anyone. Mr. Lazaro, the excellent attorney you all speak about. This going on while Mr. Lazaro is head of the Bar Association. Here is where the rubber meets the road. Dear Mr. Leon W. Berg, Dr. Catherine Killeen refused to provide her results regarding Miss Zaleski's psychological tests or obtain Miss Zaleski's medical records. And, after your assistance in having Mr. Stengel falsely incarcerated for reporting your crimes as well as many others, the state of Maryland demanded Mr. Stengel be psychologically evaluated by a psychiatrist chosen by the state. Those results contradicted Dr. Killeen's fraud findings. If we put all of that aside, including Miss Zaleski, where is even one piece of hard source evidence backing up even one claim made against Mr. Stengel? You in fact manufactured it all, as you created your counterfeit orders and fraud bills. Let's allow Dr. Catherine Killeen repeat her confessions on December the 1st, 2011. Unethical psychologist forces children into delusional world. Some may ask the father, so why publicly expose this? How can this be a good thing for the children? It was answered by Dr. Catherine Killeen on pages 54 to 55. Transcript December the 1st, 2011, pages number 54 to 55.
So what happens when somebody's being kind of spoon-fed or force-fed a worldview that doesn't really match with their experiences is that you're undermining their sense of reality. And that, to me, is the most damaging of all. Because if I can't trust my judgment about what's real and what's not real, I am in big trouble. I don't know what people to trust. I don't know what institutions to trust. It undermines any sense of self-integrity, self-confidence. It's a very, very devastating condition, and it sets up...
And would it be more so at Alex's particular age?
When we are done, hopefully we will be successful at shoving our delusion down your throats as reality. And your own experiences with your mother and father, your reality, you must come to realize you are just delusional.
To better understand Mr. Leon W. Berg's fraud role in all of this, we only need to look at what Mr. Berg himself agreed to on the December 22, 2010, consent order, assigning Mr. Berg as best interest attorney.
In the Circuit Court for Baltimore County. Consent order, page number 1. It is this 22nd day of December, 2010. Page number 2. Number 4. Ordered that Leon W. Berg, Esquire, 28 Allegheny Avenue, Suite number 500, Towson, Maryland 21204, phone number 41049477770, is appointed as the best interests attorney for the minor children, in accordance with the Maryland Guidelines of Practice for court-appointed lawyers, representing children in cases involving child custody or child access. All costs shall be advanced by the plaintiff, subject to reapportionment by the court.
Mr. Leon W. Berg's own executed contract, dated January 6, 2011, on page number 1 states,
ordered, that Leon W. Berg, Esquire, is appointed as best interest attorney, in accordance with the Maryland Guidelines of Practice for court-appointed lawyers, representing children in cases involving child custody or child access.
Maryland Guidelines for Practice for court-appointed lawyers, representing children in cases involving child custody or child access. 1. Definitions. 1.1. Child's best interest attorney. Child's best interest attorney means a lawyer appointed by a court for the purpose of protecting a child's best interests, without being bound by the child's directives or objectives. This term replaces the term guardian ad litem. The child's best interest attorney makes an independent assessment of what is in the child's best interest and advocates for that before the court, even if it requires the disclosure of confidential information. The best interest attorney should ensure that the child's position is made a part of the record, whether or not different from the position that the attorney advocates.
Important notes: A. Independent assessment. B. Should ensure that the child's position is made a part of the record. C. Whether or not different from the position that the attorney advocates.
The child's best interest attorney makes an independent assessment.
Who, together with me, interviewed teachers,
The child's best interest attorney makes an independent assessment.
Who, together with me, interviewed teachers? Who, together with me, reviewed various records?
2. Responsibilities. 2.2. Child's best interest attorney. A child's best interest attorney advances a position that the attorney believes is in the child's best interest. Even if the attorney advocates a position different from the child's wishes, the attorney should ensure that the child's position is made a part of the record.
Important notes. A. Advances a position that the attorney believes is in the child's best interest. B. The attorney should ensure that the child's position is made a part of the record. Such as this audio journal, Alex demanded be provided to Mr. Berg and Dr. Killeen, which was, along with many others.
It's August 26th at 9 a.m. and if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
And the all-inclusive, over $112,000 of counterfeit orders, paragraph. Is Dr. Catherine Killeen evil? Doctor quits for non-payment, but really to avoid cross-examination. This will always be known as the paragraph. The paragraph that nails the coffin shut, they thought. After 3+ hours of Dr. Catherine Killeen's colluded, false testimony on December 1, 2011, regarding the father, lasting 80 pages, where all evidence points in the complete opposite direction. What was sworn to in total about the mother, so Judge Martin could make a fair and rational decision, extremely crucial to the children's lives, was completely contained in this one paragraph.
He's got some real tough work ahead of him. I'm not trying to paint Miss Dingle as perfect by a long shot. I think she's got her difficulties, she's got her issues. I think she has taken on to address some of them in a responsible way. And I think she's also had to just sort of, live a little bit of a bunker mentality, because you can see the amount of material that's come down in this case. And I'm not personally involved, and there have been many a day where I have just felt overwhelmed. So I can't imagine that a reasonable person, including the kids, would feel overwhelmed. That's the end of my testimony. That's the end of my testimony. That's the end of my testimony. That's the end of my testimony.
The children lose 100% communication with their stay-at-home father. Ongoing question, is anything you have seen, or will see, reflected in this paragraph? Case is still going on. Father will never give up on his children.
Is that the end?
Nope. Just the beginning. You may think, the divide may be, blacks or whites, men or women, Democrat or Republican, and so on. Although they are all true divides, the real divide, the divide that all other divides stem from, is the divide so protected, you are not even aware of its existence. The experts readily admit their inability to be aware, while it's happening to them. A divide that is completely unaware to the masses, yet affects 100% of the masses. It truly is like an alternate universe, not a small universe. Knowing of its existence is worthless. How it operates, by who, when, and how it all affects you, daily, has incredible value. This universe is so counter to 96% of the population's way of being. Yet you can't see that it's in front of you. Explaining this alternate universe will not provide the ability for you to see it. Besides, it will sound crazy. For that, and many other reasons, it literally requires the experience. Like balance. Can you explain balance? Sure. The word. But, in order to really get what balance is, requires the experience. Like riding a bike. You told the kid about balance, yet he falls. Stop. Pay attention. If you are lucky enough to have the opportunity to get your hands on the 43 Life Credit Hours course, you should without any doubt complete that 3-DVD video set. Whether you watch it, presentation by presentation, or binge watch it all, do it. It has been provided for free.
Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel. Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
Day December 18th. The day I finally broke out of prison. It's August 26th at 9 a.m. and if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
Why are you receiving this? But why you? Why you, specifically? And you surely don't want some general, non-related response. Just as pressing is the question. Where is this going? To answer the questions. Number 1, why are you receiving this? Answer, because you did. Number 2, but why you? Answer, because in some way you are connected to this research. Number 3, why you, specifically? Answer, you already have the answer. But to a different question. Do you have a conscience? If yes, you are in the estimated 96% of the population. If no, you are in the estimated 4% of the population. Number 4, where is this going? Answer, for starters, it's going to math. 4% is 1 in 25 people. You know them, but you don't know them. You know who they are, but you don't know what they are. They tell no one. You don't know if you are sleeping with one. Don't feel bad. The experts don't know either, as you will learn. Number 4a. However, the 4%, we call them unconscionables, know those with a conscience. Number 4b. And they know that they know you, and know you don't know them. Therefore, they also know you are completely unaware that either of those, number 4a or number 4b, even exist. Did you know there were 2 teams? With the upcoming screens, try to focus more on the audio. So, did you know there are teams at the very core of our species? If not, chances are you are in the 96%. It's also important to know the experts themselves don't know which ones the 4% are. They just know there is our portion of the population with problems. Those in the 4% will act like they don't know. Besides, this is never brought up to them, because nobody knows who the them are. Look at it like a sporting event. 96 players against 4 players. This is going to be easy, right? Why even bother playing, right? Well, let's first go over just some of the rules. Rule number 1. The 96 players aren't aware or told there is a game going on. Rule number 2. The 96 players don't even know they are on a team. Rule number 3. The 96 players don't know what the game is even called. Rule number 4. The 96 players don't know it even exists. Rule number 5. But really rule number 1. The 4 players don't play by rules. Rule number 6. The 4 players are not bothered by any of this, as that is the job of a conscience. Rule number 7. The 4 players will enroll some of the 96 players to do things that will be counterproductive to their own team. Rule number 7a. More easily done, given those players, we call them carriers, aren't aware there are teams. Rule number 7b. Therefore, the carriers, also known as the worker bees, are not aware they are on the opposite team. Rule number 8. One unconscionable can have many carriers. Rule number 9. The best carriers are the ones that enroll other carriers to also commit acts and score points for the opposing team. Rule number 10. The rest of the 96% that thinks whatever the unconscionable is doing, or any carrier is doing, or says, which relates in any way to assisting or forwarding anything from an unconscionable as being okay, are called the infected. Rule number 11. The infected are no more aware than the carriers are aware they are carriers. Rule number 12. The only one that knows any of this is going on, knows all of this is going on. The unconscionables. Rule number 13. There are many games. And games within games. We call them puzzles within puzzles. With that small rule book, real-world example, we can learn a few things. Number 1. Chances are you are clueless. Number 2. It's really not 96 players against 4 players. Number 3. They don't play by any rules. And their actions don't bother them. Number 4. Therefore, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. But really, outer limits. Outer limits. How far out? Imagine the unimaginable. You can't. Now, let's talk math. What are the odds you are currently on one of those two teams? Answer, 100%. What are the odds your life currently is affected in some way by an unconscionable? Answer, 100%. What are the odds you are unaware of who or how many are affecting your life currently? Answer, 100%. What are the odds any and all of those questions are ridiculous? Answer, 100%. Why? Because none of it exists in your world. It exists. You just can't see any of it. And because you can't see it, hear it, or recognize it, you are not aware of its existence. Add to that, it's the biggest secret closet of all. And you will not hear it talked about. Because that would expose them. In fact, their spouses, and even their own children, are kept in the dark. They don't even discuss it amongst themselves. But it exists, as you will learn. Meanwhile, look at it like a dog whistle. It can be blown right in front of your face, and you can't hear it. But the sound exists. Surely you know someone that was, or is involved, with someone they consider a nightmare. Maybe called a real nut job. Or an ice queen. Or a sociopath. Or a psychopath, as there are many names used. Ask that person, what would it have been worth if you knew in advance to not get involved? There will be two answers. The first one will be their facial expression. The second will be what they verbally say. They will both match. What would it be worth to you to better advise your child who they may be wanting to marry without having to say a word? Just by some simple questions in the curiosity aspect. Reality. Not all of the estimated 4% of unconscionables are extremely high-level unconscionables. However, even if only 1%, the really dangerous ones. How many people would have elected Donald Trump if they knew, with 100% certainty, he is an extremely high-level unconscionable? Which he is. That puts aside his involvement in the rigged election. That takes us back to why you? Why you, specifically? And the answers are many, and rather simple. So here are a few. So you can see what is going on, right in front of you, every day. So you can watch Donald Trump, for example, with X-ray vision, so to speak. So you will clearly understand why there always was, and always will be, a 0% chance Donald Trump will be anything but a part-time president, and a full-time, pathological liar. Which he is, and they are, by default. Now, remember this. Whatever you think this research is, it's not. At best, it will be a very small, smaller than small, tiny portion. Just so you know, I can guarantee whatever you are thinking it is, could be considered a problem. Am I right? No need to answer because I know I'm right. Just know the problem is merely a result, or the effect of. This research is the complete opposite. It's the education of the root cause, complete with many tools to assist in the prevention before being victimized. And includes the direction for the solution, if that's even possible. If there is no solution possible, this research will be even more valuable. What if this research contained the answers to almost all of the major problems which are your problems as well? Would it then answer why you, specifically? The bottom line answer is, whether you realize it or not, which you don't, you are being asked to imagine the unimaginable. You can't. But you must. And yet, you can't. This research takes you to and through the required experience and provided tools along the way. This is the front door. Let's rephrase that. This needs to be the front door. The door, and in its capacity, currently does not even exist for the masses. You will be learning with the experts. The good news is, like many fields in education, the psychology field begins with Psychology 101. Therefore, making room for what comes first, and should occupy some of those numbers below 101. Besides, this is for the masses, not just those taking what are known as traditional courses.
The unconscionables. carriers. The infected. What we have is trickle-down psychotics. The unconscionables. The carriers. The infected. Versus reality.
Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
Day December 18th. The day I finally broke out of prison.
What do you all do for a living?
Who is asking?
We, the people. Can you show us what you all do, instead of tell us? Well.
Witnesses. 1. Alexander Stengel. 2. Maya Stengel.
Day December 18th. The day I finally broke out of prison. It's August 26th at 9 a.m. and if anyone hears this, I just want to stay with my dad. By that I mean like full custody with my dad.
Insert disc number 2. Go on.